Something is wrong with the world. You can feel it in the static, in the signals, in the fractures no one else wants to see. I thought I was chasing a secret, a hidden code, a machine buried beneath the noise. But the deeper I went, the more reality began to tear. The city opened, the mask came off, and beyond the chaos, there was another world, ancient, radiant, waiting. And in its light, a woman, Lady Avalon, not a dream, not a ghost, a guide, a warning, a key. Spirit Dial was never just technology. It was a doorway, a threshold between what is ending and what comes next. Now the old world is collapsing in plain sight. The new one is already calling. And once you cross that line, once you see what waits on the other side, you do not return the same.
I see it. The gate is open. No. Tell them I'm not coming back. I'm finishing this right now.
The signal has changed. The future is opening. And this is only the beginning.
It's the Spirit Dial. It bridges the fracture.
How long has it been here?
Waiting for you to answer. Waiting for you to answer.
Get your mind blown. Lady Avalon. Only on spiritdial.ai. The signal has changed. The future is opening. And this is only the beginning.
What is going on, everyone? It's David Palmer, Leo King, and I'm also here with Natalie, Sady, and Dr. Ann Wohlcke here on High Vibe TV for full disclosure, the Leo King birthday edition. What's going on? Well, I'm calling it Barbeau's
basket case.
basket case. Barbeau's basket case. What's going on? How are you both doing?
Well, we're good. I think we need to start by saying happy birthday to
Happy
you,
birthday, David.
the one and only Leo King. And in all the years that David and I have been friends, this is the first birthday for either of us that we've actually celebrated together. And so Anne and I got together separately and thought this would be a perfect way to spend the day with David and celebrate his birthday and join all of you guys into this celebration.
Exactly.
And
I don't need to
Barbeau's
say
basket
more.
time.
Yes. There's plenty of room in that basket for all of us here.
I want to both know from you both. By the way, thank you for the birthday wishes and everybody watching out there on High Vibe. And then, of course, we're streaming on YouTube. But how have you both felt about Barbeau's? I mean, I'm the only one saying that you don't call a transit by an astrologer's name. There's no Nostradamus transit. There's no Nostradamus yod. There's no John D. Square. So this is a new.
Why
thing.
is it Barbeau's basket? This is what I'm curious about. I mean, I've heard all about Barbeau and how he was basically the modern Nostradamus. So I guess in the modern era, you get something named after you. But what do you know about him?
I mean, yeah, he was a French astrologer. He made a prediction about a pandemic in 2020, and then he looked at these outer planets as, about, okay, the way that they're all together in 2020, and then they finally come to this moment where they're all finally in alignment, and then it would be the opening of like this more social kind of world. I mean, I'm verbatim, and I don't have a problem with it. I just think it's funny how it spread like wildfire, and it's not something like going off the way the orgs work. If I ever said anything over the last 15 years that went off the astrology path, I was scolded. But now it's okay So I guess I'm okay with it. I just find the irony in it all. But I would never call a transit by the name of some astrologer.
Leo King's alignment.
No, see, that'd be horrible.
So here's my take on all of this. I think social media has been around for a long, long time. I mean, I was still in Melbourne. I was still modeling and doing all of that. And Facebook came around, I don't know what, in the late 2000s or something like that. And I remember leaving jobs and would go, oh my God, Facebook me, all of this. And so it was great to have that contact with work people that you wouldn't necessarily have maintained that relationship with, and it helped in a work sense. But we've evolved with social media to a point where most people are consuming TikTok, Instagram. X has longer form content on it now, but for a long time it was shorter form content. And I think that so many people these days don't have the concentration span that they used to. A lot of people don't watch longer form content. And so everybody's always watching what is getting other people views and then jumping on that bandwagon, no matter what it is, whether it be a topic or a particular kind of phrase. So you and I have talked on previous shows about this whole feminist movement and some of the ridiculous things that are said in all of that. And I feel like this Barbeau's basket and a lot of other things, like because I follow a number of astrologers and I'm lucky enough to know a lot of the astrologers personally, and some I think are great, some I think maybe not quite as talented.
Yeah.
But you watch them, so that the algorithm obviously gives you more astrologers. And the number of people that are literally repeating verbatim what they've heard. And the same thing happens on, let's call it therapy TikTok or therapy social media, where people are repeating the same sort of talking points and patterns, and they talk with authority, but there's no depth to anything that they're saying. They're just talking and talking and talking because that's the latest buzzword topic, whatever it may be. And I think that it's just the same thing happening in all these different realms at the moment. And to me, that's what this Barbeau's basket is. I understand that it is this sort of gateway because you talk about it in deep astrology. And I appreciate that. For me, I am so freaking grateful right now that Mercury retrograde has ended.
Yeah.
And in my house, it ended with a freaking bang. Everything stopped working last night. Nobody in our building had any internet. I found all these people out in the courtyard going, I think my internet's down. I'm like, no, it's all of us. It was very, very strange. Yeah. And for me, I'm curious because, again, with these social media astrologers, I've heard a lot about Saturn retrograde, and they're talking about karma coming back to bite all these people in the ass. So I'm curious, from your perspective, is that how you're viewing this Saturn retrograde that comes up at the end of the week?
No, because I would say this astrology now is very much geared towards how can, as an astrologer, I bait an audience to find what I'm looking for to feel better, including hoping bad karma on another. That in astrology, we don't look for bad karma in another. And Saturn retrograde is more about your own bad stuff, that maybe how you conducted during the direct motion. The retrograde is where we receive things. And with Saturn, it's not where we're initiating those big decisions anymore. We're reflecting on the decisions we've priorly made. So it's being conflated to be very rage bait to get people to feel like, oh yeah, and then send it to their ex, like, you've been a piece of shit and you're going to reap hell. That's what it's tapping into what you were bringing up earlier, but like astrology's going a little bit farther, or tarot's going a little bit farther. Like, oh, I pulled that 7 of swords. Like, you've been deceived. Like, you've been, and really tagging that into it. I've been seeing a lot of the tarot people doing astrology at the beginning now to help the context, which I think is good. I think it's good for all this to happen, just to have people then go, well, what happens, at December, I think it's on the 10th or whatever, when Saturn goes direct and that partner of yours that you're hoping has bad karma actually has the best things show up to them. What's going to happen within you? Like that. I think that's why these things have to happen. What do you think, Anne?
What I think is what Natalie and I were talking about earlier, where you start to wonder, what kind of karma did I bring into this life? And we had such a profound conversation as we were getting ready to go live. But as far as I'm not going to bring that up, our theories about everything, maybe it'll come up later. But as far as this Saturn retrograde, well, actually, let me back up to the astrologers in general thing, because Natalie and I also went to a conference a few weeks ago with a lot of really good astrologers and a lot of people in the LA area who are also new to astrology or have been practicing for a while. It was a really great opportunity. But also it's really interesting to see how so many people are interested in astrology now, but they've been following Hellenistic astrology in particular. And I think as a historian, the outer planets are, to me, what's so intriguing, and where you can see these really great global patterns that happen over centuries,
Hence Barbeau's baskets based upon that.
Yes, exactly. So isn't it funny that everybody's been very Hellenistic focused, and I think it's maybe more mathematically interesting, or if you're really into the math and you just want to look at planets and the aspects they're making and think of it in the ancient way, right? I just feel like even as a historian, I don't want to go back to old times and learn how they were doing astrology under when Alexander the Great was ruling. I want to use some of that and adapt it to today. But the Barbeau's basket, maybe one reason people are finding that so intriguing is that it is this huge outer planet pattern that we don't see frequently at all. Like, this is the only time we've seen it in modern astrology, right? Or in modern
to
times,
be exact,
in human history, or because history is the written down part.
Yeah, to be exact. But I think you're right. I mean, what's happened is Western astrology we're bringing in it all, outer planets, Chiron. Then in Vedic astrology, because of the Vedas and all these very, very ancient systems, you're not allowed to change it. So Indian astrologers then go after other Indian / Western astrologers who bridge and bring Vedic astrology to tropical, and then even move all the nakshatras into more of a tropical based placement. And they got reamed for years. What's happened to Western astrology is we want to have our own dasha system. It's not the same way, though. This uses Hellenistic, of course, goes into part of fortune, a lot of spirit, and it goes into the lots. And it's giving you these 4 levels, and it's going based off the signs and the zodiacal release points and the peak periods, all based off your part of fortune, and then looking at it from a whole sign perspective of like my lot of fortune, part of fortune's in Gemini. So even in my lot of spirit, which is in Libra, a peak period is always going to be an immutable sign to Gemini. So Pisces is a 10th house thing. 7th house is always going to be a Sag period. And the 4th house is always going to be a Virgo period. That's how it plays out. But there's not enough truth that that's how they really did it. With all the translations, they never got fully done. There was a lot of missing. So a lot of it is experimental. Where the dasha system in Vedic astrology is not experiments. It's been there for thousands of years. And so I think that's where Western astrology is trying to find that more concrete table. Like, oh, you're in a Jupiter Saturn. Like me, I just left Jupiter Saturn in Vedic. I'm in Jupiter Mercury now. But that actually goes into, okay, where's my natal placements? Oh, okay. What is the chart when it entered into that? So like a great example, my dad died on the day I went into my Jupiter Dasha and left my Rahu Dasha. Vedic astrology is pretty good with that. When you look though at my Hellenistic, I went into a loosening of the bond, right? In my lot of fortune, August 8th, 2021. And my dad died a month later. So they both are right. But the one that got it to the day was Vedic astrology. So I say to that's what I think is happening though, is Western astrology is trying to find these more concrete kind of tableistic tools because we went really far into integration and expansion and evolution, that it's looking backwards, while the Vedic community is having Vedic astrologers. Like I love Joni Patry so much. She's always included the outer planets because she was a Western astrologer first. So she'll include them in all of her predictions. She places them in, though, the Vedic placement. She puts them in the sidereal zodiac, but they do become true. She's more accurate than a lot of Western astrologers because she's using outer planets, but she knows her Vedic system. So I think it's a lot of all that. And I think it's good for everybody to put it all out there. I just don't understand the like naming and then making it about, I don't know, maybe Barbeau like paid some PR company before he died. Like when it comes 2026, you get every astrologer to go out there and talk about it. But it's like, I guess it's from what he wrote in a book. So, but so did Nostradamus.
See, I think it has more to do with somebody has talked about it, they've given it that name, and another online presence has seen that video took off. So they're like, I'm going to do the same thing. And I really, really believe that is more how this happens, not that what the first person said wasn't accurate or correct and okay, calling it that, whatever, but it's this mentality that rather than use our own minds and say what we think or our interpretation of all of this, we're just going to follow suit and do what everybody else is doing. I mean, I'm just going to bring it to myself for half a second. The oracle readings that I do, I have realized that there is nobody online doing anything like what I'm doing. So I'm paying attention to what works on my channel, what videos take off, what thumbnails work, all of these different things. But I'm sticking to my own channel and only worrying about running my own race, as opposed to going out there and going, okay, all the tarot people are doing this, or I haven't found anyone doing oracle readings. And what I do know is if I were to just do love readings every day, I would be able to grow my platform 100 times faster. But in order to do that, I have to stop being genuine and authentic and doing what I think is actually right. So it becomes that question of, do I want to become huge and it doesn't matter how I do it? Or do I want to be authentic? And I think majority of people choose.
So you saying when I did Deep Love Tarot that I was baiting love to get big? Because that's actually what did get me big.
No, and I understand that it did.
No, I'm just playing.
No,
but no, that show is
it
so
led
much,
the way.
but it's so different from what anyone else does. And
Correct.
We all kind of want the show to come back, but we understand you have other things to do. But nobody else did that. Ooh, everybody look at the chalice, the golden chalice.
Sagittarius.
But this is the whole thing, right? You literally paved the way for all of these other astrologers and tarot people to actually step into that space, because that show led the way. And that wasn't the only thing that you did. Whereas if I were to start doing daily love oracle readings, I would be stuck forever doing love readings. I will say there are days where the cards throw up love readings without any control on my part. And at that point, I can't deny that that's what that day
Yeah, but that's a true
is
reading.
about.
That's
Yeah.
a true reading.
So anyone that's interested, Weekly Oracle Wisdom, go check it out. But
I do like doing, I will admit, doing Deep Love Tarot was like the most fun I've ever had on camera.
do you think that's in part with, because it started off obviously with Craig and then Brian stepped in and filled that role. Do you think part of that was the bromance between you guys?
Yeah. I mean, definitely it started with Craig and I for a long time. And then we did a promo and it took off in 2019. But then when 2020 hit and everybody was at home, we really, I mean, we moved into the freaking studios. Anne was there through all that. Craig was living in a tent. It was awesome. It was just like the most unique experience you've ever. I moved into my office.
Yep.
And literally we were like, we're going to hit YouTube harder than it's ever been hit. And I am going to flagrantly smoke as many cigarettes, cuss as much as I can, and completely tear people apart with these love readings. And I don't care because it's going to be the truth. And then give them the astrology right before, like, you know, and that bromance then of like passing it was really just at the beginning to make sure that I can shuffle all 15 decks. Because I don't want to just throw a deck and then just, right? So I'd shuffle all the decks and then he could give his insight that's more whatever Craig's feeling. And Craig would always throw his awesome humor and the Scorpio party baby. And so it just, that's the natural talent that just comes out. Brian had that great talent too, because he was an astrologer. So then he could take over the astrology part much more and get him to put it all out. And so it was great. Even Alex took over too at some point. Or I would have you two on the show, or I had Peace Dealer, or I had Erica, or I had, I pretty much, I had Annie Parker. I had a lot of people, or Dylan was filled in too. A lot of people on that show. But
yeah, it was fun. And I forgot about your little bumpers, those little videos of, you know, like, wah, wah,
oh,
wah.
yeah.
Or the old couple sitting on the bench.
After I'd assessed the reading, it's like, yeah, you're in a, it's like, there's no sex going on. It was like two people like not looking at each other. Or then when it was sexy time, remember I had that couple like having sex basically? Like it was crazy.
And then the T-Rex one.
Oh, the T-Rex. That was when it was the girls partying and the T-Rex being like, yeah, at the club. Like it's getting down
still
with their
nobody's
butts
doing
and
that.
shit moving.
No
It was,
one's doing
that
that.
show, nobody ever did it like that. That's why it
that
was
was
successful
fun.
though.
Yeah.
But I think that's what hurts is I see today and I'm like, gosh, nobody's doing anything exciting still.
No,
Well,
because
now
it's
we're-
this copycat thing. Sorry, Anne.
I was going to say, because now, as we learned at the conference too, we're going in North Node Aquarius. So it's time to stop being a Leo.
Oh, I mean,
Not really.
there's some points to that. I think that's where, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Monday we shift nodes. But it's more like a reset that happens like because South Node's been a Virgo, it meant don't not be a Virgo, but it meant maybe stop stressing out about how some function works and look at a way to let go and see how a better function can, it always reloops back. So it's like, if you start in the north, come to the south, it'll be a lot easier than starting from the south to the north. It's like, don't start at King's Landing, start at Winterfell. You know, because that's where the White Walkers are coming. But if you're in King's Landing and it's a sunny day and it's perfect here, well, they're coming.
So how is it going to feel when the node shift and with Saturn retrograde? And I have one additional question about Saturn retrograde. So for me, Saturn being the planet of restriction and boundaries and contracts and all of that, the retrograde period is a time, because this is what surprised me when everybody was talking about karma for your exes and anyone who's wronged you. To me, a retrograde in with Saturn, because I have astrological knowledge, but nothing to the extent that you and Anne have.
That David has.
Sorry?
Not me, David.
You as well. You're a phenomenal astrologer.
Anne
like
knows her
David.
shit.
She does. I am forever going, look at my chart, because you're so freaking good. But we'll continue that conversation after. But to me, Saturn retrograde is about going back and, having to possibly rework those contracts and solve those issues that have been hanging on that haven't been completed and dealing with all that sort of stuff. Is that completely incorrect?
I don't think there's one true definition. It's interpretation wise, really. I think change is based off little things like, well, we had a Saturn Neptune conjunction and they were both so close to conjuncting in Pisces the whole last couple of years. And then they finally did have their conjunction at 0 Aries on February 20th. So this retrograde that comes up here on Sunday, the retrograde's going to reflect for the first time after conjuncting Neptune. And it's going to stay in Aries. It's not going to go back into Pisces. So it's a different retrograde on the basis of, it's reviewing choices. Number one, where were the positive things where you became an adult more, where you took on responsibility, where you were conducting yourself with good character? Those things are going to pay off. But it's still going to reveal where we can do more work. But it's not as harsh. The retrogrades are not ever as harsh. It's the moments where they station that are points to pay attention to the most. So like on the global stage right now, like the Bain story is World War III. So here's Saturn stationing, stopping right now, and everybody's kind of stopped looking at the world while Mercury just stationed direct, right? Whenever you see all these planets together at the same time, stopping and moving directions, pay attention. So in all of our lives this weekend, it's a pay attention moment. For ourselves, what last choice? This is a roll the dice moment. Uranus, all these planets that are connected to Uranus with the sextile Neptune, the trine to Pluto. We just saw Jupiter. Now we got the sun coming in. We got a full moon coming next week that's in connection to all this. Uranus is the one that's getting all the good aspects. And Pluto's in Aquarius. So that's the dispositing planet that rules over Aquarius. And it's in trine to Pluto. So this is a lot of like, roll the dice, see what the fuck happens. With good character, but it's the character of like, I got to define who I am fully, and the copycat thing won't work. So I think that's what's going to end over the next 5 months is copycat life. But Pluto in Aquarius is there for a while. It's there till the beginning of the 2040s. So that's copycat. So when they say don't be Leo, like at that conference you went to, which that's what's wild. People always associate me with being, you're so political. No, I'm not. I was from 2020 and 2021, and it was all about COVID. Mm-hmm. Now you don't see me doing political astrology anymore. But if you go to these things now, it's 3 times as political now. It's very socialist based and communist based.
I would agree with that.
Right?
Sorry, I was noticing a comment. I feel like, what was the question? Anyway, yeah.
Oh, we were talking about
the politics and the astrology.
I mean, I was actually, okay, what should we say about politics? I know this show, so we are officially full disclosure. So normally you'd be talking a lot about things happening politically.
Well, we'll get there. We're just kind of having that intro moment.
Yeah.
But so what we were talking about, or what David was saying, is that he hasn't really been super political since 2020, 2021. And at that moment in time, the reality is our entire world was based around this thing that we were being told was going to kill us. And every decision in life we were making revolved around that. So hence the politicized nature of what was being discussed, whereas now that's not David's main focus with astrology. I know that full disclosure does lean towards that, all the business stuff, the war things, all of that. But he was saying that a lot of astrologers now are being very political, focusing on socialism and all of that. And I just said that I agree with that based on
like that
the
conference
that we went to. It was very socialist based.
Part of it, right? Not everybody.
Yeah. No,
but there was a lot of discussion of making the astrology useful politically,
Yes.
right? And as I was sitting there thinking, well, I think that we just went through Pluto and Capricorn, and it means partly that the whole structure has changed. And when you look historically, what people like to do is they look for moments that are, okay, well, right now people are talking about AI. Oh, if we go back in history, the Industrial Revolution happened with Pluto and Aquarius, which actually, has origins that are like in Pluto a lot earlier than that, but that's okay. And people will really want to focus on things that are obvious connections. And I really do think it's because they're looking for views, right? They're looking for people to just say, oh, I'm a little stressed about AI, so I'm going to watch this video about Pluto and Aquarius. I mean, they're stressed about AI, and then you're going to watch something that's all about how scary the world's going to be because of AI, right? Instead of looking realistically at, okay, if we go back into history, we see that technology changed. It just does. Evolution happens. Things happen, right? And it doesn't need to change in the way that leads to apocalypse. But every time things change to this level, there's that fear of an apocalypse happening. Every cycle, if you look historically, you can see the same things.
Because you're the historian here, which cycle of that do you think was the most, if we could use in history, where you think the population was the most afraid of the technological advances at the time in any part of history?
Well, I think, David, I mean, like that show, The Last History in the Stars we did, I don't know if was it the last one or the one before the last, where we talked about Uranus hitting that point of the Pluto-Neptune conjunction.
Right.
Because in the 1880s, I think was a moment, or 1870s, 80s was the moment when people really finally saw the impact of technology. And I don't know if it was because of that conjunction or what, but it made a lot of sense that was a moment where many people's lives and livelihoods changed. And it happened in the 1860s. It happened in the 1770s. Like those sorts of things were gradually happening, but it's like it finally hit in the 1880s where the world really changed. And it feels like we're at a similar point now where people are seeing, like, we've had changes for a long period of time, but in the 1870s and 80s, what really happened was like colonialism, really imperialism was in place. Britain was all over the place. The European nations were all fighting for the land that there was to expand their empires. Technology was being used now to fight wars. So people really felt the impact, right? Or railroads were everywhere. You could suddenly even just be in a railroad accident and be killed in completely new ways. That's when there were the first serial killers. Like so much changed in the 1870s and 80s. Like you think about Jack the Ripper, or at the time of the World's Fair, there was another serial killer there.
I have a question about the serial killers, because if you've been watching for a while, you know I have an obsession with this,
yes.
much to David's amusement. Is it really they were the first serial killers, or do you think it was the first documented serial killers?
I mean, I'm sure it's the first documented serial killers, because at the same time, too, you have, and David was talking about this in maybe the Pivots class that you were doing, sort of this impact also of now you've got photography on top of the media. So you've had the printing press, right? You've had newspapers that can spread news instantaneously. You had the telegraph, but to have the visual element where people could suddenly see things, right? Where you could see
the last Neptune Aries was Neptune Pisces brought out the photo, but of course that was hard to just get access to instantly. But it was Neptune Aries where you start seeing people actually get their first photos taken. And that was the biggest spiritual community's fear, was that and the Native American tribes didn't want to be have the photography because they thought that it would take their soul, But that's what's interesting, is watching that evolve to, of course, film. That then people are going to 1 hour photos, and most people used to do their own photography in a dark room,
right?
But then it went to, of course, that really small period in the 90s where it's like everybody's got an instant camera and everybody's going to 1 hour photo.
Mm-hmm.
But then it went to the scanner. Oh, I could put that on my computer and put it on my MySpace. Then it went to the phone. So it's like everybody now has millions, way more pictures than our families in our ancestry have ever had.
Mm-hmm.
But now you have AI that can AI generate it, and everybody's freaking out about how photography is being shifted into certain AI ways. But it's like, that's an evolution. It's just another jump. Instead of getting a portrait done, and then especially like with Henry VIII, though, send my best guy to get a portrait done of a woman that I want to marry, and he makes her look better than she really is. And then he's really pissed at that. I'd rather, like, I could see how maybe somebody with AI, but nobody would say, send your AI to go make a AI generation of what you presume this person looks like.
Well, all the filters are making people a live version of, live AI version of themselves.
That's a TikTok thing too. It's like,
yeah, and
women
Instagram,
are like, oh,
Snapchat.
they like this filter this girl used, so I want to click on that to use it for mine.
Mm-hmm.
So TikTok's only popular for women and using filters.
So I have a question for both of you, because you're talking about cycles in all of this, and it also ties in the whole political nature where I guess people that are sort of fighting for socialism in astrology are becoming very, very political and talking about the astrology for how to make this more effective and how to stand up and what have you.
It sounds like COVID.
So, but here's my question. So Pluto moved
How to
into
make it more effective.
Pluto moved into Aquarius. Everybody started talking about the age of Aquarius, and everybody pictures it like the song Age of Aquarius. Do you know what I mean? Like hippie, love for all, community coming together. There has been a lot of talk on this show and other shows about the Age of Aquarius really is about rebuilding how we do society. But in order to build it, the old structures have to sort of tumble and come down in order for that restructure. So people that are expecting this very kumbaya kind of life don't have it quite right. But here's the thing. The left are wanting to demolish things like ICE and anything that kind of keeps law and order going because they see that as being something that's unfair. The right want other structures to fail, but they want those sort of agencies to continue. So I don't know if you can even answer this astrologically or historically, but are we going to see everything kind of fall apart as Pluto makes its way through Aquarius, or are we going to see some structures fall and it's going to depend on which way the world kind of moves?
And I'd let you answer it because I'm going to pull up an image to describe it. That'll make sense.
Okay. So you asked if we're going to see everything fall apart or if we're going to see kumbaya, or
so I'm wondering if, because obviously Pluto in Aquarius is going to pull things apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know that. It's not, even if it becomes kumbaya at the end of it, it's not going to be that in the beginning because there has to be destruction or endings in order for things to be rebuilt. But you've got the left, politically, the left wanting structures like ICE and all of that to be dismantled and get rid of it. A lot of the really hardcore left-leaning people want police forces completely pulled apart. People have talked about no jails, all of this. Then you've got the right that want other structures to fall apart because... So my question is, are all structures going to be destroyed, or is it going to depend which structures fall depending on which political sort of party ends up in front?
Well, I think that the idea of political parties is one of the structures that's decimated. I mean, historically, the political parties didn't work, right? So they should be reconstituted by the end, I guess, if we're going to bring it back. But this whole idea of left and right, and that there's a left agenda, right agenda, I think we all can see too. Many times the agenda is the same, no matter if it's left or right. Socialism, in my mind, I actually was thinking about this today, it's not a threat because it's been co-opted, right? I mean, it used to be a movement in the 19th century. Now your socialists are the biggest capitalists. So what's the point? If you think about the people who are behind socialist movements, it's the billionaires, right?
Right.
So that's completely
Which is
different.
kind of ironic because, like, last time Uranus was in Gemini, it was a socialist fascist movement.
And people want to say,
that was
national socialists were
right.
not socialists. But yeah, they were. They just weren't like Christian socialists, or there were different types of socialists.
Right.
So anyway.
It was funny, though. It came right-leaning through Hitler, but it's hard to say it's a full right when it's got a left ideology, but right-wing nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
So it's lacking the nationalism. So that's why they think it's okay.
But think about the fact that, okay, nationalism in the 19th century sense, moving into the 20th century, nationalism is, oh, my country's great. It's like, let's sing our national anthem at the World Cup. Let's celebrate ourselves, our nation, whatever. But the real nationalism was they wanted to nationalize. They wanted the state to control people's health. They want you to, all the kids are going to be sent to the little camps in the summer, and you're going to learn all of our songs, and you're going to get these vaccinations, and the van's going to come by, and you're going to sing our songs.
Yeah, that was Hitler's,
right?
That was Hitler's Germany.
It's nationalism. It's nationalizing, I should say.
Yeah, it is.
So when people try to say, oh, those people are nationalistic, but then at the same time, they're nationalizing or wanting to move for more nationalization of maybe ideas of completely streamlining how elections happen across the whole country. Or the idea of getting rid of the electoral college is wanting to nationalize more the election. So, sorry, I've talked too much.
No, that's great. I love that. My image I was going to show.
Okay.
I hope it'll.
I had one I was thinking about. Let's see.
No, I have to read. It took
that's very Aquarian right there.
In terms of the colors?
No, the different apps and the everything in the background, I think.
There. So when Natalie was describing, the left has these policies that they want to bring in, but pull away others, while the right wants to pull away what the left is wanting to bring in, but put in what the left doesn't want.
Correct.
So you have both parties at the same time doing this. That's how it's going to fall.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like, the only way I could describe it is, let's replace it with nothing to hold this spot that I'm idolizing, because it's an idol. I'm idolizing my political party's vision of replacement. And that if the right's like, they both have now fallen under the spell of, we need to get rid of the filibuster in the Senate. Right? So the left wants it to pack the court like they did under FDR. The left wants it to be able to bypass the Senate, especially when it comes to financial aspects, to make healthcare a certain way, things like that. The right wants it to all out. Hey, wars can happen this way, voting suppression, especially with voter ID, things like that. They want to push all those agendas. The problem, though, is that this is what's going to create the whole. This is what brings the rolling ball, if you don't remember in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's the opening scene, right? It's like, oh, take the idol, and the idol is perfectly placed there, and just by putting nothing there, it'll be fine. Yeah, right. It's going to cause the whole entire temple to go crazy, and a rolling ball that we're all going to be running away from. Which, by the way, at the end of this scene, after he gets there, there's already people waiting for him, and they knock him out and they take the idol.
Because it was the expected thing to do. It was, everybody is obsessed about the idol. So okay, eventually someone's coming to get the idol. We'll be prepared. It's it's that whole social conditioning that ends in this trap. And so the point is, to me, what it seems like for Pluto and Aquarius would be, or an Aquarian age, would be you're outside of that structure. You've got the people. I mean, if I want to be hanging out with Indiana Jones, but in a Pluto Aquarian world, you wouldn't want to be the one obsessed with the idol.
No, and that's it, all five Indiana Jones is the story of him becoming obsessed and having to release it.
Right. Yeah.
So he has even the Raiders of the Lost Ark, that first one, right? Like the Ark, you can't own the Ark of the Covenant. Once it's open, you can't even look at it.
Right.
Or you die. Then in the second one, it's like the Temple of Doom. Well, you don't want to be ripping people's hearts out.
No.
That one didn't really make a lot of sense. You can tell that one was like, eh. But the third one, the Holy Grail, he tries to go for it, even after Fraulein falls. And that's when his dad goes, let it go. Fourth one, aliens are taking those crystal skulls, whether you like it or not. Like, you can't do nothing. Fifth one, he actually goes back in time. He's actually in there and he wants to stay with Archimedes and just be like,
yes,
I don't want to go home. I'm here. I'm done. I'm at the end of my life. And she's like, no, fuck you. And then he has to go home and got to see it, but didn't get to stay. And that's the problem in this world right now, is this idea of it has to be this way. And I'm going to use human design, but this is why it's all collapsing in 2027 is this configuration that we've been in for 400 years of planning is over. So even the idea of like in relationships, like, well, we're going to get married. Everything's changing so much to where you have to go into this. We don't know if that structure is going to be around. Our court's going to be around. Is it going to be a state thing? Is there going to be a tax anymore? Or is it going to be worse? Are you still in a system that's paying tax and actually being married kind of traps you in that system? I don't know what the answer is, but everything right now is saying whatever the plan is ain't going to work. And we're 6 months away from that ending. And so there is no replacement. Because the secret is the bag of dirt is what we're trying to do with our money system, right? Like there is social services end in 2032 and they're not talking about that. They're not fixing that. So especially all of us, we've paid into it, but we're never going to get it. That should be the number one. But that's what I think will happen is I think a lot of the generational problems, too many Plutos all in one lifetime. There's still Pluto Cancers, Leos, Virgos, Libras, Scorpios, Sagittarius, Capricorns, and Aquarians here all at the same time. And that's what happens. That's a lot of Plutos. It's a lot of generations in one that are all alive still right now.
But as the older Plutonians pass, there's new ones coming in. So is that going to shift?
But they're going to last longer. Like,
yeah.
That 20 years from now, 30 years from now, it'll only be a couple, like 3 Pluto gens.
Oh, okay.
Like that's what happens on the long part of Pluto around the southern part.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So like in the 1850s, it's just Pluto Pisces, Pluto Aries, like, and you could even have a whole family that's Pluto Aries, like mother, father, and all the kids, and even maybe the grandparents.
Yeah, I just feel like we really did just live through the Renaissance. I mean, the time that'll be looking back on as whatever Renaissance is for what's coming up, right? So I feel like we lived through the most exciting time.
Yeah.
You know, because we all got to be part of all this world shifting and new things being created and old things being built on and completely new ideas. But now, you know what I've been noticing with my niece was here and she's a Pluto Scorpio, and then her kids are Pluto Capricorn and my kids are Pluto Sag. But what I've noticed, what I love about these Pluto Sag and Cap kids is they they've totally changed. I can see the point of having those two generations at the end of this, that they've already checked out of the old and they're developing these new ways of speaking, new cultures,
Yeah.
all kinds of, especially those Pluto caps. And then your kids will just kind of pick it up and start creating the new stuff. But you can see
Yeah, I mean,
how,
Asher's Pluto Aquarius and then Aurora's Pluto Capricorn.
oh, that's right.
Oh.
Yeah, she's like you. She's the
Well,
last
Aurora
of
has the same yod with the moon as me.
wow.
Exact quincunx to Pluto and Neptune like I have. So she has that sextile of earth, water, mine's fire, air, but she has a fire moon. I have an earth moon.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what's weird though about these times. The underlying theme is, I talk about it in my new Pluto book.
Mm-hmm.
The mess is all these generations at once.
Hmm.
And that was the mess of America, right? Like, oh, we want Articles of Confederation. Oh, no, we want a centralized government. None of the states wanted to pay tax. None of them wanted to give money to the Continental Army during the war. Like, it was like, what do you mean? Like, we don't need to pay you. Like, figure it out, Washington. Because Washington was writing, like, we have only days left. There's no more socks. People's feet. We're at Valley Forge. It's freezing. We have no food. People are dying of dysentery. More people died in that war of dysentery during Valley Forge than most of the battles. And the Continental Congress didn't have any money to give Washington for troops or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just started asking those independent states that all came under a declaration, like, hey, can you throw some aid our way? And so that's why we created a centralized constitutional republic, was to be able to have, money that's for the troops, money to protect. And so I think it's got to come back to those very basic places. It's been overextended to healthcare, to this, to Medicaid, to Social Security. It was never, and that's why the Supreme Court of the 1890s during the Taft era and all that, of course, he's my cousin, but he was an attorney general who was also a Supreme Court justice and a president. Taft has a very unique, like he's one of the ones that was in all parts of it, and the Supreme Court ruled that all of that was illegal until FDR packed the court to change that.
Well, now everybody wants to try to pack the court.
Right. And it's always the same
that's the
pattern.
precedent of that. But I have a question about, well, I mean, this is kind of going back, so I should ask Natalie if you had a question based on
No,
this.
please keep going.
But I'm just curious about the fact that you have that yod with Pluto and Neptune. How do you see those two working together? And also, I mean, I have another question about the Pluto generations and who steps up to help get us out of the mess. But first, I was wondering about your yod, like the Pluto and Neptune in a yod.
It's the two slowest planets yachting by quincunx up to the fastest body, the moon. So it's the rarest yod. Besides a golden yod, which I do have a golden yod to my moon, Venus, Jupiter, exact within a degree. But my yod to the moon by Pluto, Neptune, that's a very hard one because it's going to take a while to understand emotionally why things are happening. Right? Like, I've got to understand there's changes happening that my feelings are going to be sensing that can't be seen yet. So that's why, especially in the work I do as an astrologer, if I get lost in the feeling about it, which astrology is hermetic, it's mercurial. It's not Jupiter either, right? Jupiter's the antichrist of astrology, right? Because it's not a Sagittarius system. It's a Gemini mercurial system. So you can't get emotional. That's what hermetics teaches you. It's like the second you get emotional about a reading or your own life, like, oh God, this is going to be so bad. You're unable to see what the real truth is going to be because, I don't want to have to say that. That might offend people or might offend the client. Right? It's more of a logical thing. Like, you know what? Yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to handle it. It's not because I am emotionally feeling like they won't be able to handle it. I don't want to ruin their day. It's just a classic mental, like, yeah, if they didn't get this little point here, I'm not going to go farther. So that's the difference, is a yachted moon to Pluto Neptune is I can sense it. There's undercurrents happening that are way beyond my understanding, and I can feel those, and it's going to take some time to gauge them all. And so it teaches patience to get to the bottom of things a little bit longer. It teaches you that if you just jump off what your emotion says right away without time, reflection, looking deeper, and then making sure you're not projecting it or it's being projected upon you. That's the irony of the Pluto-Neptune sextile, that we all have it. It's just whether it's exact, like now or not. I have it exact.
Mhm.
So I taught my Pluto schools, people who have it 2 or 3 degrees off, it's harder to find their mission in life. It's like, I don't know why, I just can't find my thing. Because Pluto doesn't know where to connect with Neptune deep enough. The outer planets need a tight orb. That's what makes this great alignment so special,
Mhm.
that it's exact. So it's like, but people are having a hard time, like, what is that thing? Well, it's a new doorway to I'm calling it a new eternity. So I asked the question this last week, is there a new God? Not meaning like, I know that scares people, but like, meaning God gets tired holding the system. If we think of ages, every 2,000 years, a religion changes, right? Well, what if there's a God that's like, okay, my time's done. Like, you're the one controlling the same God energy, but like, there's a different vibe to it. The eternal has, it's kind of like a president, right? Like, oh, it's not party based though. It's just like there's something new is sitting up top.
Mhm.
There's a new organization of a higher thing. And so people are gauging right now what to do in that new energy. But the more you keep staying in the old way of doing things, it won't work. That's what's making people confused, is they're trying to take their old subconscious ways of doing things and thinking it'll work, but there's nothing for it to stick to. So it's kind of like, I'm trying to make this happen. Well, sorry, you're using the old way, and I'm a new God, and I'm cool. I'm the same energy. Just this is a new system.
Yeah. I wonder if this idea of a new God, and I know, yes, that's a special thing that's coming out of this new basket time, right? But also when I think about, you were talking about the founding of the United States earlier, and all these different visions of how is this all going to work, and practically what do we need to do to make a constitution that's actually going to help us
Right.
create a new country. But what's interesting is, coming out of that period of time, you had Benjamin Franklin, the Pluto Leo, who steps up and kind of gives everyone that big talk of, all right, here's what we're going to have to do. And this is the best we can do. It is like the ultimate wager or risk, just like, let's just do it. We'll roll the dice. This is it. But he stepped up, but it was almost like all these people with all their different ideas, but Benjamin Franklin steps in with that vision, almost like a new, like tapping into this new godlike energy of the new central organizing principle of this time have to be like this. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's always a visionary who has to.
And he was that visionary at the beginning of the war. And then at the Constitutional Convention, he was old. And actually, a lot of the Pluto Scorpios, Pluto Sages were sitting in that Constitutional Convention and were like, he's a delegate for Pennsylvania. What, this old guy from Pennsylvania? He wasn't.
Or they thought
they weren't around during his Treaty of Paris or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And so he was at most of the convention looked at as the old Pluto Leo hag until the very end, because it started getting crazy. Where and the people are watching, and there's people in jails, and the system's falling apart. The money, the continental money was worthless. So the country was falling apart in 1787. It was like gone almost. And then he finally stands up and is like, okay, listen to me, motherfuckers. And then that's where Washington didn't even choose to be in control of the convention, right? Like, and that's what made him president, was he was in control of the convention. He's He's the first one that was looked at as to have power and to surrender it after winning a war.
Right.
In all history, right? Like even King George was like, that is a true man. When King George got the news that Washington resigned his command of the army 3 or 4 years after the war, because a bunch of generals started to say, we're getting screwed over. There's no money. We're not getting paid. And they were going to throw a revolt with all the farmers that were revolting because they weren't getting paid because the money wasn't coming through anymore for all the food. So they had loans that were due. That's what started the whole Constitutional Convention. And it was the only way that Washington stopped it was like, I'm getting rid of my command. The world was blown away because nobody's ever done that before. And then they put him up there and he's like, I guess I'm going to this thing. Oh, you guys are making me the president of it? Like, okay. And I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just up here and delegating it. And then they make him the president of the United States. But it's messy.
But after making that position so that the position of president itself didn't have to hold all the power.
Yeah.
Because they created the system where it was supposed to be distributed throughout.
It played itself out in the convention, ironically. Kind of like a VR version of it was happening in the convention with like the delegations and the different, people who didn't feel like they had their voice during the declaration. Now having their voice, people in their states really coming together and, we're the young energy from New York, like that old Pennsylvania energy, Philadelphia, like, geez. It's like so old. I think of that now today when everybody's like, yeah, Philadelphia. I'm like, oh, so old. The bell tower and the bell. And, it's like, that's where the Declaration was signed, but things change and things evolve. But I think we're at that moment where I think we brought up Saturn retrograde. We brought up this Mercury direct. After this weekend with the nodes changing and with this Saturn stationing retrograde, we pop out of this. I'm not going to call it Barbeau's basket. Barbeau's basket.
It was a cradle for the longest time.
I know.
Then it turned into Barbeau's basket.
It's just astrologers that just have no originality.
But they got famous. I mean, like if you coined that term and everybody else used it, you're feeling pretty good about yourself right now.
Yeah, but I think we're being pushed out of the portal into whatever this is going to be.
So I have a question, and then I'm going to have to run off set for a sec because I need to pee. But my question is, because there's no way to get out of here without one of the cameras capturing me. So this is why I have to announce it.
No worries.
But here's my question. With so many, Pluto in so many different signs at the moment.
Generationally.
Yes. It brings me to something that we've covered for multiple weeks, Mitch McConnell, like all the older people that we have in government, because one of the issues, I think, in my opinion, I think one of the big issues that we're having at the moment is the fact that we have these people that are out of touch with reality. They've been in government for so many decades. They have no freaking idea what's going on. They're rorting the system because they can. They make the rules that put everything in place to be able to, have their investments and do all their things. And now we've got Mitch McConnell, who, as much as his office is saying he just had a little fall and a slight pneumonia and he's fine, he's in rehab, but despite the governor of the state asking to get on a call or to get an update on his health, news stations, even all of the news stations are going, call in for 5 minutes and let us know that you're okay. And his office has gone quiet. His staffers have gone quiet. Desiree, the journalist that broke this story and has been there every day, and I feel for her because today she found out that her younger sister committed suicide. And so she said, but I'm still here. I've got some things that are going on for the next week. So my cousin is kind of taking care of everything. But she's there and she's like, this is day 40 of his hospitalization. None of this makes sense. And there is a very strong belief that after August 2nd, they'll suddenly announce that he's taken a turn for the worst. He's passed away, but after that August 2nd date, there can't be a special election, so that seat sits vacant, and that doesn't mess with the Republicans' votes.
Right.
So you've got all these, and we've seen this play out over and over and over again. Who was the politician the older woman who was being told what to say? Like, it was actually
Dianne Feinstein.
Dianne Feinstein.
Yes. So we've seen this play out over and over and over again, and yet none of these older politicians are prepared to let go of power.
Yeah.
So
we're at that point.
Will the political landscape change once these, like at least this older generation? I'm not
'cause
wishing this on anyone, but once they fall off the perch.
The Pluto Leos will get condensed to 1 or 2. Right? That's what happened. So they're not going to last long. But that's where it becomes to where, when you brought up like how they're making all their money off the stocks and all that stuff, I can put it on me. The same thing, that's how everybody felt during the Revolutionary War. Like, these Pluto Leos were loyalists turned rebels that had all the land, and they were expanding the land. You have to remember that during the French and Indian War with the French were after, well, ironically, that's George Washington. George Washington's the one who started that conflict, and the expansion of the territories got negotiated by Britain and the Crown to not let people build into the Native American lands. When the Revolutionary War ended, that ended because that deal with the Crown was done, and so everybody just started in these new states expanding, and everybody who was promised land by the Crown had lost that. They regained that, or it was passed down to their kids and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But people felt this dark sentiment that Pluto and Leo people had all these great things that nobody else had. They had land, they had duty, they had title, they had slaves, they had all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree, Anne? I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, did you happen to watch that film, Young Washington? Did you watch it? Because it's all about that period of time during the French and Indian War where George Washington went out to survey the land for the Fairfax family. I think that's the family.
Okay, yeah.
And so he goes out, and then he accidentally ends up killing
a diplomatic
force. But in the film, it doesn't talk about that part as much. It sort of takes the view that, well, we don't really know if they were diplomats or not, but he did kill some French soldiers that were out there as well. And it really gives you this idea that it shows you how the early colonies were, that it was being claimed by many different people, and the French were there too. So the film, though, really portrays that early generation of those people who had acquired all the land, all the loyalists. They're serving the crown. They have all the land. And Washington is this guy who wants to be able to make it in the British world, but they won't allow him to be in the military and to be a commissioned officer or whatever you would call it, right? He can only be a special type of general, not in general, but he could have a special position in leadership, but he can't be a regular, I think is the right word. Right. So
he resigns.
It shows that sort of resentment of even then, right? That he goes out and serves, and then it shows there's a battle where the general dies in battle and has to appoint Washington to sort of lead the troops. And it shows how the only way he could get anywhere was by proving himself through actual deeds, on the battlefield or out there surveying. Whoops.
It's all good. It actually feels good.
Oh no, but it's on your... Uh-oh.
It's all right. It's on her... That's not an electronic keyboard for her.
Okay.
That was like, feel the ocean. It's just water. But yeah, I think so to answer Natalie's question, I think this is a reoccurring transit of Pluto Leos having Social Security. Like all of their retirement was all into the stock market when it was very low. Now it's at all-time highs. Their 401ks were bumped higher than anybody. They all got homes when they were affordable. Now they're not, and they're the ones holding on to 68 to 70% of all the homes in America.
And then here's the other thing I keep thinking is that it's about ready to just bust, even in when those people all die and people inherit the homes or not. I guess it's set up in some places where a lot of people won't be able to afford the property taxes on the homes, and it'll just conveniently go into the world of homes.
That's what there's going to be a glut. Rebellion.
Yeah. I mean, but that's why we need to have a war right now, because then we will all be distracted by that happening.
Yeah.
Anyway, just my
I agree with you on that, and I think that's going to be the hard part. I mean, I love my Pluto Leos. I'm a Leo.
Well,
but I think with the South Node coming in, the eclipses, Chiron and square to Pluto Leos. That Chiron and Taurus square Pluto and Leo. They saw that when they were young in the 70s. Right? They were all poor. They all became weed smokers and hippies, but they were like not real hippies from the 60s. Most Pluto Leos were the hippies that were like the fake ones, like shag carpet and
who were the real hippies in Pluto Cancer?
The 60s. Yeah, Pluto Cancers.
Yeah, I remember looking at like
Pluto Leos are always playing the show piece of it.
Interesting.
Right? So the hippie movement of bell bottoms and was a show while they were all broke, but then cars, that was the first loans that came out, right? And it was mainly for American cars.
But I think there were a lot of people who were really living alternate lifestyles too, who just kind of dropped off.
You're good.
And we just don't see those people because the other ones who want to hog the spotlight and not let go are so in our face all the time because they also kind of control everything.
Chiron's gonna bring him back to the 70s into the early 80s because they've been through that square and they were all broke.
But then I do feel like there's got to be a Pluto Leo who will step up and be great, like Benjamin Franklin, right?
Well, because I mean, even though I know Masons right now aren't looked at as a good thing anymore, but that's the same thing that happened after Pluto and Aquarius, because it was all Masons running the country, and then Pluto and Aquarius ends with Pluto and Pisces being about remove the Masons from politics, and that fails. So, but it's because Benjamin Franklin is not concerned with money, even though he was the guy who helped create the money and was part of the treasury and was part of printing his own books and making his own ephemeruses and his own farmer's almanacs. And that the Pluto and Leo that wore all the hats isn't concerned, can find its place and shine its brightness, whether it has money or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those will be the Pluto Leos that'll be okay. But the Pluto and Leo stuck to money, they're going to have a rough life ahead. Once the benefits end, once the Medicaid ends, once all that falls apart, and that's going to be Chiron and Taurus square all that Pluto Leo energy for those placements.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to also then be the hardest hit for the Pluto Scorpios who paid into their 30s and 40s and aren't going to get any of that.
Sorry.
Right? Like they're not going to get any of that. So then you're going to have Pluto Scorpios after Pluto Leos. People like me with Pluto Libra or Natalie are just going to like, have at it. Have fun. Wasn't even paying attention to those systems anyway. But those are the two generations that are going to be very much not happy over the next, especially both of them have Pluto and Aquarius squaring or opposing them. And now Chiron squaring or opposing it.
Are you saying the older ones or our generations?
Scorpio Plutos.
Okay.
So that's 1984 for the beginning of it, then the end of it. I missed that one, thank God. Went back into Libra for my birth. But then 85 through 95. Everybody there, if you're relying on some benefit that's going to come and receive from the government, it will not happen in your life. And then all the Pluto Leos who rely on that so they can have their barbecues and listen to their fucking, if they're still using an iPod. I got the best
Not their
70s rock mix. I got
turntables.
the best 70s rock mix.
They're
Listen
mixtapes.
to that right now on my speakers outside. Right? Oh shit. Those checks aren't coming through no more. The 401k I rely on just got down to nothing. The stock markets, the American economy is changing.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds horrible for anybody in those periods, but
Well, what will happen to the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, though, who are making all their money in the stock market? Do you think that will stop?
no, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of people already show up at her door.
Oh.
Right? And then, AOC is the last one to be kind of like told in 2008 when she came in, like by Pelosi, like, you need to kind of be on the right side of things, right? Remember Pelosi gave her you need to.
Has she been in since 2008?
I think so. She'd been, or maybe it was.
I will Google.
Maybe it was 2016.
Yeah, I was thinking 2016.
Maybe it's 2016. So, but the idea is once AOC tells everyone else to flip on Pelosi hardcore.
2019.
Or 2019.
Yeah.
Okay. Once that happens, because AOC's young. Once that happens, she's going to be running for the hills. Because you have to remember that all these socialists, but they're really communists, they're all going to go attack the Democrats that are on CNN right now and everywhere else, like shaming them, right? And then you have MAGA being shamed for being MAGA. Like, what do you mean? We didn't want a war. We wanted cheap goods. We just wanted peace and we just wanted freedom. And you're taking all that away. Both sides are playing the same thing. And that's where the people are going to revolt. So anarchy. So Pluto Leos are not meant for anarchy. That's their biggest fear. Because what happened during Pluto Leo? The building of homes and driveways and everybody living in the perfect little world after World War II.
The American dream.
The American dream, correct, which is changing.
To the American nightmare.
To the American Aquarius iced nightmare. Where people are making their own AI music and hanging out and playing video games and going to raves and doing whatever, right? That's oh my gosh, like, look at that person's lawn.
But there is this love amongst some of the youngsters of the authentic Pluto Leo person. I mean, I know people, I'm not going to name names, who follow accounts of older people who will just like truckers, older truckers who are driving around, and they go into stores and interact with people or go to the truck stops and say like their kind of folksy things. And it's like younger generation people love the authenticity.
Do you think, though, this is things like that, it's a matter of we're generalizing in this conversation generations based on placements and what have you, and we're especially generalizing when we're talking about politicians, because those sorts of jobs tend to attract a certain type of people. It's like not all security guards are bad, but there are a lot that didn't make it as a police officer, and so they go into security because that's the next best thing. And so, they can become sort of like hooked on this perceived power that they have. But in every generation, even when people are going, the boomers or the this or the that, there are incredible people within each of the generations, whether you're looking at older or younger, whichever it is.
Yeah.
Because there's even like these fashionista women who are older, they're in their 70s and 80s, and they're dressing for themselves. They don't care about fashion in terms of what's on the catwalks or what anybody thinks of them. They're wearing whatever the hell they want. They look fabulous and they're just living their lives and doing great things. And they get that following for that reason.
Yeah.
But again,
And there's a lot of interest in all eras of fashion right now too. And people being able to just go and choose an era and dress that way. You know?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, that's the whole where it gets messy, all these Pluto generations at one time. Everybody wants a need. Pluto is our deepest needs. We feel like we never get. And so add Chiron and Taurus to the mix. Now everybody's feeling like, I'm not getting shit. So it makes every generation, like, wherever your Pluto is, like, I'm not getting this. And the physical of that's not happening either. So it gets everybody riled up. So where Barbeau failed in his prediction was that it would be this beautiful opening of this utopian kind of paradise, which we all know. That was the same thing that Utopia came out during. A lot of the same transits were in. And when Henry VIII was in power, none of that happened. And you're sorry, you did write Utopia, but sorry, you're dead. Right? And a lot of those ideas that even Henry had before changing believed in a lot of that utopian stuff, but it never did turn out that way. But that's what's going to happen is that this is getting grimy. There's no utopia ahead. It's only through anarchy.
which I think when I was younger, the thought of anarchy would have terrified me. Although I created anarchy here on the set for a brief moment, and I apologize. There was water everywhere.
That's so normal with this Mercury that it's been. I've had too many of those moments last 3 weeks.
Well, so you don't know this, but I cooked dinner last night. I cleaned my kitchen. I was a little spacey. Anne knows this. I got up this morning and my apartment is so hot. It's as if I'm living in the pits of hell, to the point that I'm at war with my landlord over this. So anything I can do to cool it down. I get up this morning. I have been asleep for 7.5 hours. My hot plate was on, like just on all night. I cleaned the kitchen. I have no idea how that even happened, but this is where I'm at in this 24 hours. But so what I was going to say at the beginning of that was I would have been terrified at the thought of anarchy once upon a time, but I find the political landscape at the moment so suffocating. And I feel, or it seems that the politicians are trying to regulate us more and more and more and more and more. That once upon a time, I would have bought a house in California. Now looking at the numbers, I don't actually think that I would. With the cost of taxes, with the fact that the same politicians keep getting voted in time after time after time, with the insurance issues over here, it's like, why would you spend that money? And I think that's ultimately what they want people to think and feel, because you were talking about if somebody passes and the house is inherited by the next of kin and they can't afford to pay the taxes and they have to put the house on the market, whereas back in the day it wasn't this impossible. So for me, the thought of anarchy at this moment is actually like, yeah, let's go. It's got to be a little bit better than what's
the idea of anarchy is not like a dystopian idea. I think anarchy means more localized control, right? I mean, yes, a lot of the protections or the larger things go away, but I think the idea, the utopian idea of anarchy is it just allows for there to be communities in control, right? It's not supposed to be every man for themselves, just out, you know.
I also think that gives society an idea when they all pull together as to where our moral compass actually is versus being told by government, by media, telling us what we need to think, what we need to accept, all that sort of stuff. When you have when you have people coming together as a group and saying this is acceptable, this isn't acceptable, and kind of working together, to me, I actually think that's a beautiful thing. And I just think government at this point is so overinflated and so bloated, and they're just sort of worried about feeding themselves and getting their money. Between that and the whole lobbyist setup, like none of this has to do anything with the American people. And I think it's the same in Australia. I think it's the same in the UK. I just think all of these powerful governments are just wondering what they can do to feed themselves. So did you have something you wanted to add, or can I ask a question?
Ask a question.
Okay, so this is a topic that I had wanted to discuss, but there's been people in the chat. This vote that went through the House, which included in the bill to integrate the US and Israel military.
With intel, yeah.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on all of
But
that?
then from what I know at the moment, the House passed it, but the Senate just didn't.
Oh, okay. I hadn't seen about the Senate. I knew the House had.
Right? So until it's law and the president signs it. Now, my buddy JP, who I do a lot of like events with, had a guest on just today on his YouTube saying this goes more into the alien stuff. I'm not saying I believe this, but it makes you think things in a weird, different way. That there's an alien species, which I'm sure we all have always known if you've read any Bringers of the Dawn or any kind of Palladian Channel books, that the reptilians live in Iran. That's their dark portal, that they live down there in Iraq, Iran. But then this guy's claiming that the Galactic Federation is hanging out in areas controlled by Israel, and that the deeper part of the story is that. Now, I'm not saying that's what it is. The other thing is, we have to look at the full details. Like, it's not like we're merging military. It's not like we're going to be able to go over there and have one of our generals boss around some IDF soldier. It's about intel and creating weapons together. So, like, if you read the fine print, it's much more of a merger of advancing information, which we already do to each other, but making it more official and creating weapons together, creating advanced crazy systems for intel. It's basically aligning intels. And then Netanyahu comes out and tries to say, and that's a way for us not to take money anymore. Right? But this goes against Washington's neutrality with any nation. And it's not done through a diplomatic treaty. It's done through the House, which is really weird. It's kind of a weird way of us creating a NATO alliance, right? That's not, because Israel's not in the NATO alliance. That's about protecting Europe after World War II, after the League of Nations fell. That Article 5, if that gets hit, we go out with every country to defend that country. This is like they're trying to get a law to support Israel in case they get taken over, and that's the holy war thing I keep talking about, right? So eventually it'll probably pass because Democrats are Christians too.
So you see it being passed?
Yeah, there'll be some Democrats who will jump on because it's all going to be connected through the NDAA. That also is connected to 1.5 trillion. So they're asking for 500 billion for the war in Iran. I did the numbers this week on Deep Astrology. I don't know if you saw it, but just Pete Hexas said we did 37.5 billion for the war. Well, the Lend-Lease Act of 1940 and 41 was 50 billion that we gave countries. Then 600 billion for World War II. We're at the same numbers. World War III is happening.
And you talked about the new prime minister coming in.
The new prime minister coming in.
At the exact same time as Winston Churchill did back then.
Right, just like how Winston Churchill came in. Then I looked at that guy's nickname, and it was
Bambi was one.
Bambi, but also one where he changes his political with the winds of whatever it is politically.
Mm-hmm.
And king of the...
I can't remember what that one was.
Yeah, but so... where Churchill was like the lion, Courage of the Lion or something like that. So all the pieces in the last 2 weeks have been set up for World War III. That's the bigger story. It isn't about Israel and America and the merge. That's trying to help when a World War III is happening, because there is no alliance like NATO. Like, you don't know, like, here's the crazy story. No, has anybody thought that maybe the European countries are advocating for that so they don't have to add Israel into NATO? And America is just like, well, look at how much we get away with our relationship with Israel. So just throw that in there. And once the war starts, nobody's going to be talking about that. Because right now, Marco Rubio's, that's one of the main stories. Oh, actually, this is one of the main stories here.
Oh, you had a nice birthday celebration already.
Yeah, I'm having a great birthday right now.
You look good, considering you had a slight fall and a light pneumonia.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. And that's my new wife, if people didn't know. She's great. She's Pluto Leo.
Did you know that your wife staged a paparazzi thing about a week ago?
We just got married when I was under. So, yeah. And she wanted me to have that little bit of that Matrix look with those glasses. So I said, okay, babe.
Well, does it remind her of her husband who passed away a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah. I'm wearing a shirt, actually. She won't sleep with me unless I wear the shirt.
Your hands are looking a little purple.
Yeah.
Oh, but I mean, you know, she held me at will while I was under, and I woke up married. But it's weird. I don't have a wedding ring, which is really weird, you know?
Huh. They probably had to take it off.
Yeah, your fingers look a little swollen.
Yeah, and this is really just like a
look at the weird pattern on your hand.
Well, no, you know what it is like I put on like a glove, but it's been on for like 4 years, and it's just finally coming off. So, yeah, it's just, you know. But please be nice to my wife, because she's part of the CCP, and I don't want to die. So.
Oh.
But that's where the big story is Marco Rubio is with the Russian delegation, and the questions are about the CCP and Russia helping Iran with the weapons. Because the hearings that just happened with Hegseth, and especially with the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the president, was pretty intense, because it was both sides hammering about the war being very serious. And what we found out was that we destroyed everything. So how do they still have rockets? And the confidential info is, well, they still have like storage that we didn't reach. But the real story is like, well, what do you mean? They have an alliance with China. That was in 2022. Iran and China created a military alliance. And that's part of why we're trying to blockade the Strait of Hormuz, but they don't come through that strait to bring the goods over. And then you have Russia, who's helping with intel that the CIA has found out for Iran of what targets to strike. And you have drills over the last 2 weeks with Russia and China and their navies. And remember, we just did the show 2 weeks ago. China just figured out how to stop torpedoes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So naval warfare's changed forever. We abandoned the project a decade ago. They kept on it. So now torpedoes can't take down their aircraft carriers. And Russia was with them the whole drills. And so now Marco Rubio is stuck in a room with all the Russians trying to hit him on, Ukraine things, but it's mainly about intel that's being sent to Iran. And then what's not being said out loud is about the CCP's role, because now the media is starting to find out about that stuff. Even the whole voter problem of 2020 was about Russia and China and Iran, all three.
But I mean, why is this all coming out all of a sudden, and everybody is reporting it, and we're all just like, oh, really? Oh, wow. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so
it's
convenient.
It's all part of the hidden agendas of 2020. Like,
Right.
right? Like that everything about these outer planets opening up the door is about what was hidden. So COVID was just part of that to set the economy up, to set all the working pieces and people to be like, you have to remember, most people are compliant to all of it, not awake. They'll go with this easily. Plus, those alliances all were made during Saturn into Capricorn to Aquarius with Pluto changing, right? So, like, the allies and the axis all got set up. Now they're playing out. They just don't want to tell the Western world. They tell Europe, right? Like, prepare for a nuclear bomb. Have this. In America, they just keep acting like that'll never happen. Or that right now, Iran has a bunch of drone sites with help from China in Cuba, right? So it's just like the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's about to all pop off any minute. They're just doing everything they can to just keep the stock market going, keep the S&P, make all the Pluto Leos happy, and we're okay. Because if the Pluto Leos aren't happy, then it all falls apart.
But at some point, putting Band-Aid over Band-Aid over Band-Aid, it can't hold.
So that's why there's a guaranteed world war because of the Band-Aids of the economy. The 2008 recession was the biggest Band-Aid. We should have gone through a depression, but we didn't. And then we created new ideas for the stock market to, you know what? It went down 20%. Stop for an hour. If it goes down another 5 to 10 points, then stop for the rest of the day. Like that's to try and curb a 1929 situation, right?
But doesn't that just go against free market trade?
It's not free market.
So is it, I'm sorry if this is a dumb question, but the markets aren't my strongest suit, but is this the same as what went on during the GameStop thing where regular people figured out how to short a stock and make money on it, just like all of the ultra wealthy do? And that was when they halted trading. They're like, you can't do this, even though it's a popular practice amongst the hedge funds and all of that.
I think it's bigger. I think it's the centralization of AI dominance in America and China. So Europe doesn't have any, right? Like, they're not building data centers. They don't have any big companies technologically that are creating any of the products that create AI. None of the hardware, none of the GPUs, there's no AI central, LLMs like OpenAI or Grok or Anthropic or any of that. They're losing, right? It's only China and America. And so that's the bigger part. And then these markets, Japan's falling apart. They hold a ton of our bonds that take securities for us, right? To make sure that our money could float, right? That we take investment into bonds and so forth, right? And they can't hold all of our bonds anymore. The rest of the world isn't really going to be able to hold on to them. And the bond market and every stat that's normal is not normal anymore. And then the GDP to debt ratio is the same as World War II. So you can't create a safety package once you hit these things in a market, right? Debt to GDP ratio at 25%, like that. And so the overinflation of everything, the debts, which, remember Enron?
Mm-hmm.
Why did that get bad? Was they were hiding debt in shell companies while taking investment and saying, hey, look at Enron, right? So what do you think Microsoft, Apple, what they do is with the LLMs, they do the same thing. They're all hiding their debt in all these places and then promising this future that's going to keep going.
Okay, so here's my question. I'm sorry, I'll let you speak in just a moment. But so with the Pluto in Leo generation and trying to keep them happy, is this about keeping them happy? Surely they would have to know that this isn't going to hold. And so is this more about giving them time to prepare for what's coming?
No, they won't let them prepare.
Well,
they won't.
They just invest. So they'll have time to switch their investments to all
Correct.
the things it takes to fight a war.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that to me seems like, okay, they're signaling it now.
And what were they? Why are we getting all this MK Ultra stuff? You know what was the generation that was MK Ultra? The Pluto Leos. In school, they had to do all the drills for nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
No other generation did. Pluto Leos did.
No, but what came after
So they're
that was
easily activated like NPCs, like Swarm and Matrix 4. Pluto Leos will support the war right now. Turn it on. Save my 401k, my Medicare, and my da.
So I agree with you. I think that's absolutely part of it. And you can see that in that generation. They still believe the government is there to do nothing but protect you.
Yeah.
They would never do the wrong thing. Doctors are the absolute gods. What they say is correct. If you hear anything from anyone else, you have no idea what you're talking about. Doesn't matter how much education they have, unless they're the person in the white coat, the answer's no. But after them came the gifted, was it the gifted and talented program or something, the GATE program? And there's been this whole thing coming out about how that was part of MK Ultra, and it was in a very different way. They were being taken out of class. A lot of them have no memory of those moments that are happening. And then,
which that's in a weird way kind of alluded in that new Disclosure Day movie.
Yes. So here, see, this is what everyone was talking about before. My hand kept coming into your shot because I talk with my hands. But so I always think about, if we go into conspiracy theories, the government, there have been high profile people that have been whistleblowers that have come out and said, it's so easy if you do the wrong thing and you step out of line in a way that whoever is in power sees as being stepping out of line, they can plant child porn or whatever, like horrible materials onto your computer and then say, look at what we caught them doing. And so then they go to jail and that's how they're punished. They're taken out of the equation. They lose all credibility. So there has been this story going around about Tulsi Gabbard's brother. So since she did her disclosures and then stepped down from her position, her brother was arrested for trying to lure children to his hotel room. The family.
Was that in New York?
I don't actually know where it is.
Because there was just I think he worked at Meta. Same thing. He just got arrested in New York for doing a lot of luring children things.
Right. So apparently this happened at one hotel under one particular sort of circumstance. But here's the thing. People have started going, hang on, this guy who seemed really normal.
But don't they always?
No, hang on. He's been arrested for this thing. He's now saying he is Jim Morrison's child. And so people have started doing these deep dives. He looks like nobody in their family. He is the spitting image of Jim Morrison and the supposed mother. And people have gone down the rabbit hole, and it's all MK Ultra, CIA connection stuff. I mean, I've got the videos, we could play them, but it's probably about 12 minutes. I'm not saying it's accurate. I'm just saying MK Ultra seems to be playing a bigger and bigger role in our day-to-day conversations.
Deeper than just psychological. It's having kids and holding them in facilities and then releasing them and not knowing. It's deep. It's way deeper than people think.
And all of the people where this is all connected. And if you've read Chaos, if you've read Weird Scenes in the Canyon, and you start going down the CIA rabbit holes of the information that we have that we know is true and correct, there are so many ties to the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, those Pluto Leo rock stars. Their dads were all in military high positions.
Tulsi Gabbard was in the military. And then you go down the Jim Morrison thing. His father was part of the initial thing that started, I think it was the Bay of Pigs, which set off the Vietnam War, which never actually happened.
Right.
It was this whole thing. So there are all these really strange things that are going on. And the fact that there were all these disclosures right before Tulsi left office, and then this guy has a psychotic break. But again, you go through the ties and it's all military. There is something really strange there.
Robinson and Nick Shirley are...
Yeah, we talked about that last week or the week before.
Like half cousins, right?
Related by marriage, yes.
Yeah. So one's exposing fraud, the other is in a fraud.
So anyone that wants to look at the conspiracy thing about the MK Ultra and Tulsi Gabbard's brother, I'm just trying to go back to see this girl's
So he
username.
came out screaming, "I am Jim Morrison's son."
I don't know if he was screaming, but he has said he is Jim Morrison's child. And so,
He's a bastard.
yep, at Nerdy Pink Panda and the number 1 on TikTok, she's recently in the last few days been doing these breakdowns, but his birthday lines up with when Jim Morrison's
But he's a bastard. I'm just using history that nobody listens to bastards, and in the bloodlines they don't listen to bastards.
correct.
So he won't get he won't get any special.
But not only that, anyone that's accused of doing anything with children loses any sort of credibility, regardless of whether it's true or not. The accusation is horrendous enough that.
So you could look at it that maybe she's in on it, or they're after her and they already know that he does weird shit. And so they do that to keep you in check.
It could be a whole bunch of different scenarios. Yeah. I'm just saying this theme of where MK Ultra and people that have been targeted. And once she, in her second breakdown, it then goes to these ties that Jim Morrison had and all these other people within the music industry to Marianne Faithfull and all these other huge names that I hadn't even heard of being connected in these books that I'm talking about. But again, all connected to the military-industrial complex. And it makes me look at this and go, if you're in show business at this point, I wonder if it's possible to be a megastar without being either a victim of MK Ultra or connected to some darker thing. I get that sounds crazy, but the more you learn.
I think it depends on kind of like how fast you rise up or which job you eventually do take coming from Hollywood, right? It's like, I know a lot of people, I have a lot of clients who they're successful, but they're not in all that stuff. But to get the big main part, that's where it always happens. It's like, you want to be the front person? You want the movie to be your name in the front at the beginning? Okay.
Yeah, but
you can be the second, third person back. Those people usually aren't in it. It's always whoever decides, I want to be
the star.
And then it's the humiliation that will come with it. Right? Because the humiliation rituals that we just saw with this whole World Cup thing with Messi and with this new kid, right? When he was a baby, and that's a Mason ritual in the bath. It's the same thing. But the humiliation ritual has to come. So like this is the humiliation of Tulsi Gabbard to maybe be on the feminine side of the Masons because they have different groups.
Or is it punishment for releasing something she wasn't meant to? So the other thing is,
I think it's to get in.
People have also talked about a lot of the younger celebrities, particularly a lot of the female celebs, and showing interviews of who they were in interviews and on the red carpet in terms of their personality to where they are now. So they talk about Ariana Grande and how bubbly and beautiful and healthy she looked versus this very sort of robotic, performative individual. And I don't know if it was Jenna Ortega, but there's a whole bunch of the younger ones, and I should know their names, but I don't really pay attention to a lot of that sort of gossip, but they all become almost like clones of each other in the voice that they speak, in the tone that they use, and how they present. And I realize some people will say, well, that's just media training, but you don't lose your personality in media training. They tell you to lean into it. How does this historian think of all of these crazy ideas?
I mean, I think that's always existed to some, that you have to, that they're looking for certain looks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And certain ways of behaving. And that's just the way, like what you're saying on social media as well. Everybody repeating the same things.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing I was thinking of when you were talking about this guy being Jim Morrison's kid. And how many kids does he have out there? Probably many unknown children.
The Scorpion King.
But I mean,
Lizard King.
Lizard King, but yeah.
yeah, I was thinking, I think he's a
But
Sagittarius
he's a Leo.
too.
Oh yeah, he's Sag Leo
Oh.
rising or whatever.
But this is the thing that here's what I've been thinking while the MK Ultra trial or not hearings were going on. First of all, I'm watching them because I'm interested. But secondly, I always sit there and think, why are we allowed to watch this right now? What's the point? What else is going on? Because I think right now, while that stuff worked for a certain generation, that there's a generation of people who wanted to be famous, there is also.
I'm just going to throw humiliation rituals up while you're talking.
I think for the newer generations, you have to do something different because people probably don't want to be stars in the same way. So you see that the CIA or whoever's behind it has to go into different areas to try to MK Ultra people now, right? That we're all fascinated about, what happened in Laurel Canyon or wherever it is, because today that kind of stuff's not happening. It's probably happening in chats or in Reddits or wherever things are happening, right? But what's this? The humiliation
People don't
rituals.
know that the wives come in, the females come in Masonry during events at nighttime. When they bring their wives, they get their own rings. And then I DJ'd one of these unknowingly in 2011 when I was on reality TV. Like I had a Mason hit me up that I didn't know and then DJ'd a party. And I'm like, why do all these old people want house music? And I had to play like really light, deep house, like very light. But I didn't understand, like, why are they all like, they all got up from the table to all line up and like do the dance and do these. And then like there's a ritual that happens to a certain Mason that the other wives with the Masons watch, especially if there's a change in who's going to be the master Mason of the temple, stuff like that. But it could also come with the humiliation things as well. And I think we see that more in public life now at these events to get to these like Emmys, Oscars, all that kind of stuff. We're seeing the Masons play their cards out in the world very big. And I said that years ago that Pluto and Aquarius would be about secret societies. That's what it was with Washington out of nowhere when the Constitution's finally ratified. He shows up with his Mason attire on and his Mason apron. And the image of the first slab of the Capitol's the President of the United States wearing a Mason apron. And that's the shock of Pluto at the end of Aquarius. But the whole time, this socialist I thought was about socialism as a Mason. This woman who I thought was going to be DNI is a Mason's wife. And his humiliation is Cancer.
Well, they all have to be in the same groups because the same families, like if we're entering World War III, the same families are profiting as profited from World War II, right?
Yes.
They're still in place. And they were in place before World War II.
I was going to say, were they the same families that profited from World War One?
Yeah, most likely. Many of them. But I mean, and then of course you get the new people who come in as well, but they all probably join the same organizations. But so you're showing an 18th century thing. And I just did a video, or I'm working on a video about
Which is
Mozart.
honestly very French Mason, where Benjamin Franklin was.
Well, the French Freemasons were abolished too.
Yes, but he was
so who knows what
attending
was going
Freemason meetings in France during negotiations with locals, then eventually the king.
Then that was the alternative to the power. The Freemasons at that time, I mean, I was saying I did a video, I'm doing a video on Mozart's Magic Flute because it's known to be an opera that's full of Mason symbols. And he was a Freemason, and some people say he was also a member of the Illuminati. But he was not, I mean, he was well connected, and he was sort of like the trained monkey that went around Europe for all of the emperors and everybody. But by the end of his life, when he became a Freemason, the emperor had regulated it because they were worried about these organizations that were existing outside of the church, and they weren't under the control of anybody, right? So
Right.
at that time, when our founding fathers were Freemasons or whatever it was especially someone like Benjamin Franklin is thinking, well, we need to be able to train the new citizenry so they know how to rule. Since we're creating a republic, we need educated people who have resources and can be trained in some way, even though not everyone went to school, right? So it was it served a purpose.
So, and and it's you know what the purpose is about Barbo's basket?
What?
I mean, I could probably
There
find a
it
better
is.
Mason
Yeah.
symbol, but do you notice how that's like how a president will speak? Like the first president of the United States comes up with the way of how to show up and speak, who's a Mason. Right? And he was only a 3rd degree Mason. Right? So he never went to the next step, which then takes you up to the 33rd, right? He went down the other path. That's the faster path that goes down like the Knights one.
No wonder we're freaking out about the basket. I'm
but-
sorry. I'm looking at the whatever that is, the level in the compass or whatever.
Well,
it is the points of the basket. Those are sextiles.
That's what I'm about to show is that.
Ew.
Hold on one
Sorry.
sec. No, you're
jumping ahead.
You're already on it. You're already on it. Like that is. Hold on, let me get it because I just did a post about it the other day, and I have lots of pictures. You don't need to see this is an interesting pic. Like now, you have died from excessive Canadian wildfire smoke inhalation and diarrhea. Lettuce. That's kind of crazy. All right, here it is. All right, yep, I got it. Somebody sharing my story about it here. Well. That these planets, the way that they are, in many ways, if you've been following the basket since last year, because you have to remember that Saturn was involved with it last year too. But really, that Jupiter's the connecting point to create this mystical triangle that actually is a very big Mason symbol. There's also been a couple 6-pointed stars lately. But the point to where we're about to see the last Cazimi of Venus retrograde is going to be at 0 Scorpio. And you can actually kind of see whether you want to look in here, but this is a Mason symbol. Like you see the bigger V and you could see a smaller V with just those oppositions in there to create that with the trine from Neptune to Jupiter. Because when you look back at, there's the main V and then there's the smaller V. That's also what was Washington? He was a surveyor.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's about the pillars and which pillar is used. So like if you Freemason pillars, the different ones. So like when you look at the Capitol building, you look at any of these, they all have different meanings. So when you look at the White House, it's just the Corinthian one. The composite one is like at the Capitol building, meaning that the rituals are at the Capitol. The White House is more of a decorative one. That nothing's happening at the White House. The things that do the rituals are the Capitol. So every part of Masonry is in your own sight. You're just not able to see because you're not paying attention. Even here, most people want to look at the Jacob's Ladder, or they want to look at, and this isn't Boaz and the B&J. This is SBW right here. And so there's what traditionally is that, but it's missing. You could see that the other part is in a different direction here, but it's in the knowledge right here in order to get up the ladder. Of course, this is taken from Hermeticism, and this is taken from Robert Flood, the key that is the celestial woman who's connected to the universe to get you up to this higher one, which of course Masons try to mix it with Christianity in order to get up higher. But these are all different pillars with different meanings of the sun, the moon, and the all-seeing eye. And there's an E right there. So you have to remember there's another letter involved. I have fun always doing all this stuff, but I think people are really, this just shows how much people are missing the
symbolism.
The symbolism, the play that's happening in front of them, the show that's happening, and that the only people who have the knowledge, and ironically, it's astrological, are getting out of this. Like, if you don't, you're not able to discern what's together and what is together to get up. Like, these are like symbols that are imprinted into a Mason's brain. So when those times come, they don't need to all gather in temple to talk about it. There is no secret society that's got to do a quick meeting. It's symbolism set into where when you see it, that you are innerly called to show up to do it. And that means that you really are here on the mission. There is no secret meetings.
I will say, we have talked over the last several months about everything that's going on in the world. And I have said numerous times that I feel disconnected from a lot of the news stories, in that I don't get emotionally affected in terms of fearful when hearing things about World War III, or deeply invested if there's a super positive story where it looks like, you know, the politicians are doing things in our favor. I'm watching everything as if I am watching a show. And it makes it easier to observe all of this without getting caught up in the energy of what the media or the politicians or whoever are trying to tell us. And I think understanding that there is this greater show at play, and once you start looking into the symbolism, and we often talk about it on this show in terms of what we're seeing in particular photos on clothing, hand symbols, where photos are taken, how things are placed, it allows you to see the show playing out. And I think that makes it easier to navigate everything that's going on right now.
So why wouldn't, in the Capitol, they vote to merge Israel's intelligence with American intelligence? Because right, Solomon's temple and the King Solomon story of Old Testament, all of that is ingrained in Masonry, right? So if you look at the beauty, there's so much that's actually just like this beauty, but like, watch this. And it's been a minute since I did this, but I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. If we look at the US Capitol, what were we looking at it? They're called the beams, the pillars. Is that, I don't feel like that's,
Is that the Supreme Court or?
Yeah, see how these ones are the strength ones, the S's that sit in the middle. You always see the president walk down this. And this is also where there's a copy, it's not the real one, but of, what's it called, Anne? The Magna Carta. There's a copy of the Magna Carta in this room. This might, US Capitol, yeah, okay. So you see on the sides, there's that roll.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good image we were at. I don't remember where it is. I mean, this is actually the biggest secret of Freemasonry is on the pillars, that most people are NPCs in a world. the ones that do not understand astrology and the zodiac and the connection to it all don't pass through. Meaning you also don't go to heaven. That's the secret. There is no heaven.
Well,
for
I
you.
mean, it's a lot of see, I think to
Right.
me, what I think of is it's a lot of esoteric ideas that also came through the Old Testament and the Bible that existed prior to those traditions.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. And that's why there's a lot of emphasis on Egypt in these traditions as well.
Yes.
But you know what?
And Greece, of course.
Yeah. Someone in the chat had said,
there's the beauty one. It has these built. I think the other side of the building has the wisdom, which has the Solomon Temple. So it's all three at the Capitol building.
I mean, these things were built into the Capitol on purpose because everybody spoke that language. I mean, and if you weren't in the Freemasons at that point, you probably still understood it. But someone in the chat had said MK Ultra and Freemasonry are equally tied together, with the triggering using the symbolism. And one thing I wanted to say about that, or ask what you think about that idea as well, because I was thinking it as well, right? I was thinking, okay, it's like MK Ultra where they instill all these images in you, and then you act without you act because you've been fed what already you're supposed to receive and all of that.
And how to respond.
Yeah, but the difference is in Freemasonry, the idea would be you choose to come in and learn, or you are tapped, whatever it is. But the person still is, there's that ritual of you have to accept it. You're going through it, through this and learning the language.
And there's no religion. And religion's left at the door.
Well, that, and I wanted to say
right. So that's why, is it about the people of Israel and the Jewish traditions and Christianity? It's not. That's left at the door. That's why they come together. In Masonry, they throw that out the window. And that's why the Constitution is so much about separation of church and state. They act like that to get your vote. But in their voting, they don't vote as a Christian. They vote and they talk those points, but they vote as a Mason.
Yes. Well, okay. I wanted to say about MK Ultra, the difference is those people didn't have a choice, right? Those people were indoctrinated into something because a larger force
because the wives
decided.
have the rings.
So the wives are
the wives are the ones that produce the children.
Oh, for Masons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the thing about what you just said is it makes me think of Charles giving up being the defender of the faith.
Oh, right.
So he could be King Charles, if everybody doesn't know. When I say Charles, of course, it means the king. Usually it would mean King Charles I, but in this case, it means the third. But what is his title now? Because I was thinking, is he doing a Mason move instead of where people are worried, he's secretly Muslim. But
no, he's secretly
Mason?
Not religious.
But see, is he trying to make the
way that Trump is not religious?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but I just Googled what his title is.
His Majesty Charles III, by the grace of God of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and of his other realms, territories, king, head of the Commonwealth, defender of the faith. So he's got to if he gets rid of that, does he have to give up his whole entire role? Because he's
I think they're all doing is going back to the way it was. With it's almost like because his speech at Congress just like a month and a half ago was about the same deal we're making with Israel. We need to align our forces, our military, build the same military, keep our alliance together with the commerce, right? And that we are the people who speak English. We are the people who keep Western society at bay and even introduced Western society to the world. And we need to stay aligned. So what would have to happen is you're seeing it right now. Everybody throw their faith back into the real faith would be this faith. There is no religion. That's all the humiliation. The humiliation's on people who are religious. Like, you guys are laughable. Because if you look in the crowd, the normal patriots aren't Masons. You just get to watch. You don't get to participate in the game. You're not in. And you don't know astrology, and you don't know the cosmic connection. You don't know you don't get the instant downloads. And what's he sitting in? A pyramid.
But you also don't need to be humiliated.
Well, it's a intelligent humiliation. Like, you didn't figure it out. Because that's where I think the alien connection is going to come in. Like,
but if you,
that we are connected to aliens and you're not. We know how to connect to this higher realm that you don't. Because you choose these religions we create to distract you. So did you watch that Disclosure Day movie, right?
I haven't seen it, Anne has.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give it away, but that was the number one fear of the movie, was what's going to happen to the people if disclosure happens about their religion.
Odd.
And I've been saying that for years.
But I don't understand. See, now I don't understand that, because I guess in my perspective, why would the fact that there are people out there disturb my belief? You know, why would that shake people's foundations?
Because
of belief?
that's how much people's faith relies on religion to guide their lives.
But the Bible, like if you want to go to Genesis,
right? That's what they bring up. It's talking about only on Earth.
But it doesn't. It's like the whole, everything was created.
It depends on how it's and then, translated.
So it's all created, but then we get to be the special ones on Earth. So why can't there be special people from other realms who come here? Does that mean they're going to take us over? Anyway, I don't know. I've never understood that fear or that belief that, if people knew, it will shake their faith. And I think they dealt with that well in the movie. He actually dealt with that in the movie.
Right. But like, that's where then even like, here's some paintings from that moment of the bringing of the slabs. The Mason's allowed to bring it to another Mason. Everybody else, look at, there's a Supreme Court justice, right?
Yeah.
There's people of Congress hanging around, but they're not allowed in unless they're in and wearing. So they're going to wear this stuff. We've already been seeing the symbols of this with Elon, with Trump, Biden. Well, he was the animatronic version. But that's the slow, every Pluto and Aquarius year that goes by, you're going to see more.
Okay, but here's my question. So you talk about the humiliation ritual as being, it's like an intellect thing. But if you look at how humiliation rituals are talked about now, it's not an intellectual thing. It's major male celebrities, having to go out on stage in some skimpy woman's outfit when it's someone who doesn't normally dress that way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's actual humiliation rituals that people are talking about, at least in Hollywood. If you're willing to
go there, right? So like the thing they ask you if you walk into if you go to any Mason temple and you want to join, doesn't matter who you are, what walk of life. Do you believe in God? Yes. If you say no, you're already out. Then the next thing is, you understand that we believe in God, but not one God that's assigned to any religion. So the humiliation is, you fell for us giving you fame. These are things that in Masonry you do not put first. So it's the telltale sign that you haven't had a family, had anybody that taught you any of these things. Your grandfather, if you watched all those movies about the Da Vinci Code movies, what did the grandfather do to the daughter? He taught her as a child how to read, to decode it. Every Mason tells their grandkids the secrets without fully understanding, to know the character enough to not give your life away to be a movie star, to do these stupid rituals for money or whatever. That's the test of, and it's also the humiliation of, like, to help the populace kind of in their minds, wake up. But then when the more they don't see people wake up, the more they realize like there's not a lot of us.
So you're saying the level of humiliation differs depending on where you're placed in the pecking order, essentially.
Yeah, and what it might be about or what might be there that they're trying to show you.
Because the other thing is you see everyone talking about the black eye that a lot of people get. And now it's become a thing on social media where if there's any sort of celebrity or politician that has a black eye, and I think specifically the left, or maybe it's a left broken ankle, but everyone goes, oh, here we go again. Like they've joined the club. Nobody knows what club it is, but this is what they're talking about. And as far as the alien thing and them already walking amongst us, there is a belief that Rh negative blood is like alien DNA.
No, that it's human. If you're found at a national park with it, you're probably going to get jacked and sucked
What?
up.
If you have Rh negative blood,
Yeah, so that
you're human or that you're alien?
The stuff that's coming out is that the aliens want O positive and Rh negative
why?
because it's more got the human. It could be interchangeable more.
Huh.
So actually, it's the opposite. People think they're special because they have this stuff, when actually you're the ones that the aliens really want to test you with.
So
Wonderful.
15% of the population have Rh negative blood.
Right, because that it's going to come out that we're all hybrids, and there's only a couple of humans here.
So then if you're Rh negative, you're an actual
Yeah, because if you
human.
like in my line, right, I'm in the president's line of all the presidents except I actually do have Van Buren, which is kind of crazy, but I do. I'm A positive. Nobody in my family, nobody in the English, any of the aristocracies, any of that, we don't have O positive or Rh negative. That's the lowest of humanity that has that. That's looked at as like you're an original cave person.
Once again, I'm a low cave person. I have
It's a
Rh
cave
negative.
person.
Do you
Once
really?
again, I'm the low, yeah.
But TikTok will make you believe that you're special alien
Okay.
DNA hybrid.
I won't
See,
fall for
When
that.
actually it's the flip. 85% of us are all fucking alien hybrid shit.
See, I've always
We've been the
known
ones fucked with the most.
that I was special. I'm AB positive, 3 to 4% of the world's population.
Yeah,
have my
so
blood
actually
type.
you're a hybrid.
Hmm.
It's the O positive and the RH.
Hmm.
That's what's coming out that have the most people that are
Well, who says
disappeared.
this?
I get
By all of the whistleblowers coming out, by being
Yeah.
in a national park and having O positive or RH negative.
It's no wonder I don't like now. I got so
Right,
sick.
that's
when we went
where
to
they'll
Yellowstone
show
as a
up
kid.
and they'll pop up and they'll fucking
Oh,
teleport you
no.
and they'll sexually abuse you and they'll do that weird shit and then they'll throw you out somewhere.
You're going to get a probing when you go back.
I mean, think about it though. That's like what a nurse and doctors will do. They'll get all over you like, oh, you got O positive. Oh, yeah, we need your blood.
Universal donor.
So even what we call humans here, where you're going to realize that every human's got some form of something in them, the same way that there's diarrhea everywhere from parasites. Have you seen like the new Doritos thing? Like they're allowed to have a certain amount of bug infestation from the wheat. If you just zoom in on a Dorito, it's like all these magnets, like very micro ones walking around, but it's from the wheat.
Well, I have multiple things to say. First off, I have the blood bank calling me daily, trying to get me to go in and donate plasma,
And there's
even though
vampires that want that blood too.
because we did a show and I remember we started in the middle of the night in the old studio and we were talking about all of this, the blood bank, giving blood, vampire things that we were discussing. And you educated me on the blood bank. And I was like, I've been going every month or every few months to donate blood. And I haven't since. Like that conversation absolutely shifted my thinking. So that has to be at least 4 years ago. They are still calling me daily and they change which numbers they call me from. So now I just don't answer anything.
They don't call an A positive or a neg. They don't call us.
Yeah, well, they call me. And then what was the other thing that you said? We were talking.
That try and find me an elite person with bloodline that has O positive.
Oh, that I can't speak to.
Well, O positive is
The
not
universal,
Rh negative,
the universal
Yeah.
blood.
I'm O Well, should I?
Or O negative.
I'm negative.
But if you're pregnant, O negative, you have to take a special shot in order to have a baby.
Well, to have your second baby.
Or the second baby, yeah.
Oh, not the
Because
first.
you could if you don't have it after having after you have the first baby, there's a chance.
I think now they give it to you now,
one.
no matter what, on the first baby.
Yeah, because if you get pregnant again after having one baby, your body would reject the baby if it's positive blood.
Correct. Which is a high extreme possibility because of everybody being hybrid.
I'm so fascinated by this. What's the shot that they give you?
Rogam. I don't know what's in it. Actually, I
look at Natalie. I gotta find out what this shit is. What is this?
RHOGAM.
What is it?
I did read all about it. And it's interesting because before they had it, that's why they had to do blood tests before you got married.
Right.
And I know in a lot of historical situations when, like, for example, a queen has many miscarriages, I always wonder, I wonder if that person was Rh negative. And in that case, it would make sense, right? That you don't want that in the elite line because it's going to disrupt the heirs. You're not going to be able to have your heir.
Correct.
Because that was before they could do the shot. So what are you telling me is in it? Something really horrible?
Okay, so it doesn't have thimerosal and there's no added human serum albumin, which is most common in other blood products, and there's no latex in the syringe or the delivery system. That's random. Okay, so it's saying that it's
pure human.
Where?
So maybe I am now a hybrid.
Oh, sorry. Here we go. So the active ingredient is RHOD, immune globulin, which human in parentheses. This consists of concentrated immunoglobulin G, which is IgG, anti-D antibodies. These antibodies were collected from screened Rh negative human donors who have been immunized with Rh positive red blood cells. So the inactive ingredients or stabilizers are glycine, sodium chloride, polysorbate, and water. Like that.
Which we'll find those are like the things that are in other planets. Like when we discover new life, it's going to be like, you're going to hear like, we found sodium chloride. We found
Found somebody that's AB positive.
It'll be like the shocking news will be something stupid like that. Everybody's expecting like, there's the fucking monster and the Be like, no, like there's sodium chloride with this and that and this.
So you're saying the bad guys are the humans?
No, I'm saying that there's good and bad on both sides, on all the sides, but that our species is so mixed with it. We're all high. They don't want to reveal to everybody that they're all alien. They're mixed with tons of weird junk shit.
But why wouldn't people want to know that?
Because their religion will fail them.
It's really interesting because of what I've heard.
It's about the religion.
In the new Avengers movie is supposed to be all about all of the superheroes kind of multiplying and turning on each other and killing them all off or something. I just feel like there's something also with the way we think of superheroes now as well. Everybody wants to be a superhero, right? So maybe everybody is, except for the lowly humans.
Yeah, everybody wants to be Hercules and be accepted by Jupiter as the sun and to be brought up to become immortal. Right? That's what everybody wants to be. But everybody's really going to turn into Chiron.
Yeah.
But everybody's obsessed with the globalization, the Jupiterian world. The idea of inflating the ego so big to become a superhero is very Jupiter. Especially now it's in Leo, but the opposition of Pluto and Aquarius is, well, you can't. You're too many parts alien. What? It's like, why did all these DNA companies take all the DNA? And then remember that was the big thing over the last couple of years. And then 23andMe is like, sorry, we're not giving you your data back. And we sold it. That's what Jupiter and Leo with South Node and Leo. All the stories are going to be bringing up about new. Last time Saturn was in Aries too was all about DNA and the discovery of it, and we finally figured out how to use computers to understand the DNA strands. That's all coming back in a higher, crazier way with AI, and that's why all the investments in AI are either AI or health and biotech.
Yeah.
And the health biotech isn't about saving you from cancer. It's about understanding it's like almost like old school, like what leech to put on you, but like technological leech that has some reptilian or this.
But
Well, it's
isn't
to get
that,
your data in a different way.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that where warfare has to be going to? I mean, if we can block all the torpedoes and there's no way to kill each other, then
That's
it has
actually
to
what
be-
the last
James
Bond was about. And that technology is already out there. And actually, that's what RFK Jr. brought up about the COVID shot. That it targeted genes that were based off certain races to protect and to die. And he wasn't wrong. That's the ugly redactions we still see in the Fauci emails. Like, that's the stuff that's still redacted in Epstein stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the Epstein stuff and the Fauci files. If we were to see both redacted, you're going to see a connection to both. You're going to see all of the doctors and the scientists that were paid during Epstein all under control now under Fauci. That's what they don't want to show you.
So I have to say two things. First of all, on the superhero thing, every time you say Hercules, I just want to sit here and go, Hercules, Hercules. From, was it The Nutty Professor? Where Eddie Murphy is dressed up as every family member.
Humiliation ritual.
Right? Every family member. And so
it's not the real Nutty Professor. He's a veterinarian.
But every time someone in my life, especially male, is doing something that's very masculine for me, I sit there and go, Hercules, Hercules. So just fun fact for everyone.
Or in that disclosure day, all the animals are just there to make you feel better from seeing their true form, the aliens.
Yeah.
I can't comment because I haven't seen it. But what I wanted to say
I thought about you when I saw the whole like reveal about what the animals were. I'm like, oh, Natalie will not like that.
Oh, it's not a good thing. Okay. But the thing about the superheroes where you said everybody wants to be a superhero, it made me think about right in the middle of COVID times. Somebody came out and it was a psychologist and he said, everybody goes and watches a movie and says, I would be the hero of this movie. Like, that's who I identify with. I would be the rebel. I would stand up and I would do all these things and I would go against the narrative because I know what's morally right. But then they talk about how in reality, there's only about 20% of the population that would actually go against the grain and stand up for what they believed was right and not listen to the narrative, not get caught up in whatever it is. So only about 20% of the population actually has the ability to be the superhero, even though 100% of the population aligns with that thinking when they're in a movie. And there was one particular professor that talked about teaching his class and talking about Second World War and who would stand up against the Nazis. And the whole class put up their hand. I would stand up. I would do this. I would do that. And he said, and that's what everyone in Germany said. And only 20% stood up. So 80% of you would absolutely follow the narrative. The other thing in regard to Fauci, he is being called in to testify before Congress or one of the committees this week. I think it's like on the 29th or something. Rand Paul has been posting about it and he's saying, we're going to get him under oath. The reality is, and I'm curious about your thoughts on this and the astrology of it, but we know Fauci has lied. We know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. He's been caught out. He's forever twisting and turning. And what's his name? Is it Dr. Andrew Hill? He's in he was put in by Trump into one of the positions. He was a whistleblower from Eco Health Alliance, I think it was. He's written a book. He has talked about how they were funded and how they went around everything. So it's been proven that Fauci's lying. He's going to go to this hearing. For me personally, I don't believe anything's going to happen or change, but I don't know if the astrology says something different.
No, because I don't know which organization that Fauci's part of. These are all Mason organizations.
But he's part of something.
Right? Who knows which one he's in? Is he part of Jobs Daughters International? Is he part of Rainbows for Girls? Right? Is he part of the Daughters of the Nile? Or was his mother? They have 148 temples and 39,000 members. But you're not going to hear anybody talk about this. In Masonry, you don't go brag about this shit. You don't go.
Well, and they're all part of they're all part of it. And he's the one that was elected.
Right. Well, like,
you're going to be the one who's blamed, and we'll get to ask questions and look good. And
right. So the number one is Shriners, right?
Shriner,
right? Okay.
There.
Shriners.
I just went straight to the black eye.
And like, let's see, Dr. Fauci. I'm just going to see. Like, let's just see here. He has no direct connection to Shriners Children's Hospital, the Shriners Fraternal Organization. Here's a hero, Dr. Kimberly Shriner. But no, from what we can see, like the Shriners, so many of the commercials on TV about, Shriners and all that, that's all Freemasons. And then Freemasons are the ones, because of all the different Templar Knights orders, the Hospitallers, the Green Temple Knights, they're all about, they have control of the healthcare system. They have control of the military system as well. So Fauci's not going to, if Fauci goes down, what goes down? The military that created the vax. So when you're dealing with Templar Knight orders, right? Because that's really what's hidden behind Masons. Right? Like these are the Templar Knight, or like there's the Malte, like I'll find an English version for people. Yeah, okay. There's a bunch of them. Because we're in this astrology that's playing out too. And so the whole like Israel thing is about America wants to have the Christian version of in the doorway. Europe wants that too. Of course, Iran and all of the other, we're going to say other Middle Eastern countries, both wings of that religion want the Holy Land. And so you're watching everybody, because they're obsessed with a plot of land that has zero value. But to people in the world, they will go to battle because the religions hold a fake value, that there's some great thing about that area, that there's something magical about it, that there's something spectacular. There's nothing. It's like the opposite of the alchemist. Like, I'm going to go get my idol, my land that will have everything, when the gold of life and all the thing is just underneath your feet right now. There's nothing special about that land more than this land, but everything's attached to getting everybody to rally it up because it will hit their religion. And they're not going to reveal, like, it was weird in the movie Disclosure Day, It only got disclosed when World War III was at the brink happening.
Was the reason for that because they wanted to distract from the war?
No, they tried to make it that it was the most woke shit I've ever seen. That humans have been mistreating aliens like they were fucking taken by ICE. I'm of course paraphrasing my own version, right? And that ICE were mistreating, you're hearing the same shit right now. ICE were mistreating aliens for 79 years and using their technologies and re-engineering them and hiding that from the public because if they found out, their religions will fall, right? That they're not alone in the universe and also that their religions are not who we really are. So the whole thing was the same woke agenda. They got hypnotized, everybody. The only two aliens that are in the movie hypnotized every single person, including the people that were in control, the government protecting all this shit, and made them smile like it was all great to be revealed and that everybody became all docile. And then we revealed, and it showed every crash site of look at how our government took over these poor aliens and iced them into camps to get worked and do all this crazy shit and to be tested and to have babies and to have all these experiments done on them. Yet at the same time, nobody had the conscious thought to be those aliens just took down all of humanity right now and projected themselves when they want to be looked as the saviors, the way that they want to be projected as, and that they also had the power to, and they used everybody's dead relatives to stop them from getting where they wanted to go. So they would present as your dead mom or dad and some old story, and then they would just be
or something where you felt emotion, you had wronged somebody, or it was honing in on the most emotionally traumatic thing, sort of, that would make you stop.
Right.
Instead of it being, imagine a beautiful future with you being great. It was, you feel horrible.
Yeah.
It was using that shame thing again, reinforcing shame.
I thought it was the biggest MK Ultra movie I've ever seen.
Well, to me, it was interesting, and I don't know if this is giving anything away. I hope not, but
who cares?
Everybody at a certain point is on their own device in this ritualistic group moment of, as if everything stopped and every station picks up the news and they're all riveted on their phone wherever they are. And what it shows is a lot of people together in a train, in a car, but everybody's on their own device. To me, that was the most disturbing image.
All of those images of people watching through the world at the bus stop, letting the bus pass them, in the bus, and they only showed poor people. They didn't show rich people. They showed ordinary people in a house watching, like the neighbors or something. No rich person in a mansion watching. No.
Well, no, because those people,
they already are
mistreated the aliens.
They mistreated the aliens. That's the.
I don't know, but
right.
But to me, the fact that it's privileging what's going to bring everyone together is the device that's giving you the news, so that if you enter this future where people are giving up their devices, you could have in the back of your mind this fear of, if I give up my device, I'm going to be disconnected from this moment. That's, to me, that was the most kind of magic part of that film, was trying to convince us all there's something special about the device, that we better not ever put it down. Because in reality, if everybody hears something, if you know, 9/11, and I know that probably can't happen today in the same way, or COVID, right? Let's take COVID and the lockdown. We weren't sitting there watching our devices, or we were watching TV going, wow, look at how they're presenting this in one particular way. But we're all talking to each other. We had a whole community, like we're talking about at High Vibe, where we can come together and talk about it. You could have a show that goes out to all kinds of people, and we're talking about it. And yes, the devices were helping people connect, but not what they showed was no one saying a word. Didn't that disturb
that was
you?
really, because that was the thing. If you notice in that scene where they upload all the documents and the video, and they're in the little control room. Then he says, you need to call New York and have them distribute this to all the networks.
Yeah.
And that one woman and that guy have a battle where NBC is the one that chooses, like, who is this girl? So but she's the weather girl who was famous and all over the internet. They forgot to mention that part. Remember? Like,
Yeah.
everybody's making fun of the girl who's clicking, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean, who's this woman? She's been all over the internet. So that was the irony, was they all were subdued to do. Remember, he just walks in the room like, I don't even know why I'm going to let you do this.
Yes, but that's telegraphing too.
Yes, that's telegraphing.
Again, it's letting us all know there will be a trusted person. Like, that's part of the plan. It's got to be someone who's known on internet, right? Like YouTube famous.
Humiliated.
But not like, and that person.
Humiliated, though. She was humiliated.
Yeah.
It was all a Mason. But that's what's crazy. So they gets to the main New York one, and then that guy puts it on NBC, and then that's where that girl's like, fucking, I'm putting it on mine. And then they get in an argument, like, no, this is our thing. And then they go, so then they all put it to that girl and let the aliens say, no journalist, no reporters verifying if it's true or not. Nobody ever did.
There's the one person giving the spiel saying, what am I seeing? And she's, so educated in all that she just is saying, this appears to be 1972 or
1947 in the crash of Roswell.
And she's commenting the whole thing.
Correct. And then they use what's new technology that's not out yet about AI imagery, where it's this, we verified this is original thing.
Oh, yeah. There's so much there that it's just sort of like, if we see it in real life.
I could go make an app right now that actually these AI model things or images make it say it's an original and not AI. That's how fast I could code that in a minute. And that's what's crazy is then it's distributed, and then they just cut away, and then they bring that old alien fucking out, who to me, that's the craziest part, like an old lady, like in a wheelchair, like, and that's why nobody's talking, is because, what is it? What's the old lady going to say? And then she, into only his ear, because he can only translate. And then she tells him, and then she ends with, listen.
And we never hear what it said.
But it brings back to like her original message, like, you won't be able to handle this information.
So now you don't need to see the movie.
You don't need to see the movie, but I think like the whole part of what's happening with right now, because I think the main story really is World War III right now. There is no other. I can't believe how many people are hitting me up terrified about World War III in the last 2 weeks. Family and friends. And I'm not watching the news. And I'm like, what? But people are actually scared now. We've reached that point to where the populace actually believes now something dire is about to happen. And I'm using the Knights Templar disbanded of 1309. Of course, we know 1313. They're really killed off. And what did they turn into? The Order of Christ. I don't want to...
Military Order of Christ.
Right? That the Templar Knights... And then what the Masons have created is now this false Order of Christ. And everybody falls into it now, right? That's Christian. And they're going to go in the same way that there's different Judaism, right? And then the main Jews are going to go fight for that. And then there's the main Islam, right? And Iran is not that. Iran's the very, very, very secular part that's very on its own. They're all going to go fight for this area that has zero in it. There's nothing there. There's nothing. That's what's going to happen. That's what my whole prediction has been the whole time. It's going to happen. It's my birthday too, so I can put that out. But and that's what Barbeau's basket was this great alignment of Jake to get to Jacob's ladder. Ironically, where Uranus is sitting is the heavens, and what my whole purgatory was the only way through is through Gemini into Taurus, right? And Uranus just crossed into that place, and the North Node was there when I did that whole presentation. That everybody that's been stuck in purgatory this whole time in the COVID thing is going to be stuck on the ground of the war instead of those that understand the knowledge who won't. That Uranus is the only door out and it's in Gemini, and it's opposite of religion. But they're going to use religion as the...
Well, there's so many people talking about religion, and so many people bringing on religious people to talk about
it's the Royal Military Order of our Lord Jesus Christ, or the Order of the Knights of our Lord Jesus Christ.
And the Jesuits were the original.
And then actually this kind of brings up like what the defender of the faith and why you're seeing even the end of that maybe from King Charles, right? Like that's him maybe saying we're not going to be like, he's not going to be the order anymore of maybe another sect of the Knights Templar. Like another leader's going to take that over. Like maybe that's America now. Because there's an American Pope, by the way, which I predicted, and I predicted the exact motherfucker.
Maybe it'll be Australia, though. Maybe they'll rise up.
Well, I mean, that's what's the other, right? They're coming out with all their subs, and they're the ones spouting off the war is going to happen. The war is going to happen louder than anybody.
Well, they're closest down there to
the South China Sea and all that. But that's the main story.
I don't see Australia rising up. I think Australia is very much aligned with China. It depends on the day.
Well, no, they just got all of our subs that you guys own them, but like, you know, you guys are definitely be part of the alliance.
Oh, we'll be part of it, but I don't think we'll stand up and move away from the Commonwealth.
No, go to the outback and bring enough water and hang out with the tribal people, and you'll be fine. Go Crocodile Dundee out there. Right? Because he kind of was on the outskirts of a weird area. Well, I watched the movie with you.
We did. After watching Matrix 4, I was like, do you know what I was thinking about? Crocodile Dundee.
I know, and I'd never seen it. And then she showed me, but like he is out in the way far away place that nobody goes.
Yeah, but he wasn't in the center of Australia because
I get it, but I'm just saying that
closer to. And honestly, I think Darwin was the only part of Australia that was hit in World War II.
Oh, okay.
It's not
Japan?
quite. Yeah, it's not quite the northernmost point, but that was the point that was hit because it's pretty up there. So Crocodile Dundee is sort of closer to that because there was water and all of that. Once you get into Central Australia, it is desert. Like people and dogs and everybody have died out there because there's just nothing. You will fry if you are not prepared. I would like to think Australia will rise up, but I was working with somebody yesterday who used to go down and train people in acupuncture in Australia, and he randomly said to me, Australia is really the controls and everything that are put in place, the restrictions on them, all of that are really insane. And he started listing all the countries that are similar, and it's everything that we have discussed, being that these are all countries which are part of the monarchy. So I don't know that we have the government to stand up. And you look at what happened during 2020, 2021, all of that. There were people that stood up, but just not enough. Most people, kind of like the Canadians, were too, well, we don't like this, but we're fearful of getting in trouble. So we'll just stay put.
So, I think, we're in a, I mean, even just the deal that just happened the other day with Trump allowing Saudi Arabia to create nuclear weapons, right? That's like a Templar Knight Hospitaller who's agreeing to this part of the Muslim world to make a deal in the Battle of the Holy War. Did you remember in the Holy War, they always made deals? And then there was betrayals, and then there was, right? Like you're watching all that. So this whole like, well, Trump's going back and forth and then Iran. No, what you're watching is literally how holy wars work. The back and forth was insane. The deals that were made, then they were broken, and then no, all these people are slaves, and we're gonna kill all of them, and we're gonna steal the women. But then this time when we come in, we're not gonna do that. We're not like you, and that's how it works.
So before we finish up, there
Yeah.
are 2 random stories that I thought I would
You
share.
have to reconnect.
No, it's saying, can you not see me?
Oh, wait. I got you. Yeah, I got you.
So this one starts off. So William Shatner and his daughter have both revealed that they have stage 4 cancer.
At the same time?
What?
Apparently. So I actually haven't read this full article. I saw it just before we started.
Do they have the same
William
COVID
Shatner
card?
and his daughter Melanie revealed they battled stage 4 cancer at the same time. So maybe the pair who are both now cancer free, there you go, but the story's just come out today, said in a new interview that Melanie, 61, was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in 2022. She discovered a lump in her breast. A year later, the 95-year-old actor learned he had stage 4 melanoma that had spread to his lungs and brain. Melanie said she underwent multiple rounds of chemo with HER2 targeted therapies, a double mastectomy, and 30 radiation therapy treatments over the year and a half after a diagnosis. But Melanie admitted she was more concerned with William's health. I remember vividly thinking I don't have the strength to take care of myself and lose my father at the same time. And William explained that when Melanie was close to finishing her treatment, he noticed a lump on his cheek and that turned out to be a growing tumor. So they removed the tumor. He underwent 2 years of immunotherapy that targeted the cancer in his lungs and brains, and we got the perfect doctor for my cancer. So that's just a random thing, but I had the same thought that you did when you came up with that. And then the other story, which for me was crazy, that the wreckage of a Pan Am plane was found after 74 years. And that crash killed 52
Oh, I saw
people.
that the scans finally found it, and that we've been paying a debt for the black box and all that. It's all been based off this crash.
Huh.
Do you know that?
I didn't know that part.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so they found this plane, and it made me immediately think of MH.
Oh, the disappearing plane.
Yeah, the Malaysian Airlines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy because that sonar, like you could see Pan Am still on it and everything.
Yeah. So this article I had
It would have
read.
been nice if they would have done that with the Titanic, but
So it crashed off Puerto Rico, killing 52 and prompting major changes in pre-flight safety procedures. The largely intact remains of the Clipper Endeavour, which went down after taking off from San Juan for the city Good Friday 1952, were finally discovered after a 7-year investigation led by the Air Sea Heritage Foundation, which partnered with the Discovery Channel. Seeing the bright aluminum fuselage shining back at us from the ocean floor was a hugely emotional moment.
Didn't I say that Pan Am would pop up with Jupiter and Leo opposite Pluto, that it would be about the 1950s and the Jupiter-Pluto triple conjunction, that I brought up Pan Am. And the beginning of airline passenger shit is what's coming to an end, and they're putting it in your face.
So there
there's not going to be a clear area in the skies with El Nino or so Pluto and Aquarius, that and war. Nobody travels long with Uranus and Gemini, like, unless you're part of, you have the mind and the intellect to get to that place, because they need you.
And what about you? Do you have any final stories?
Oh, I mean, mine was just like, remember that these crazy people that are all in these places, like commanders of the lands, the Holy Land, Jerusalem, are different Templar Knights, or, the commanders, and they all are connected to what's happening right now. I just wanted to say that. But as far as like the stories that I have, hold on, I do have some stories here. There's a couple that I thought were interesting. I mean, it's been kind of like every day there's always something new.
Yeah.
Right?
While you're looking for one, I just need to say it was Dr. Andrew Huff, who was the doctor I was talking about. Before.
So, yeah, okay. Just
if people were curious.
So just 2 hours ago, Iran threatens to strike British bases. So this is now connecting the speech 2 months ago in Congress with the king, the new prime minister, and World War III. Right now, once you get the British to get bombed, that's actually what gets America real riled up in World War II as well by the Germans. Then there were, I mean, I could honestly just use this from, I mean, this is kind of crazy how many things are happening right now. The Iranian foreign minister yesterday said the Strait of Hormuz will never return to pre-war conditions. That's ending the global economy the way it's operated and worked, especially in Europe. So if you notice, everything's kind of actually about what's going to happen to Europe, especially with Ukraine and the Russian stuff and all that, right? And like prepping the German men, right? Like they're not allowed to leave anymore, right? That's getting crazier, right? Like if you look at the stories about that right now, like, and that's been happening for almost a year, right? When German men regain their confidence by our nation, like they're all not allowed to leave the country. I saw 2 stories about it, but like, of course they're not going to pop it up. But like right now, German men are not allowed to leave Germany. And there's like a hard stop on it. Right? Because of the war.
Oh, okay. So
Do you
the
have it?
AI overview, this is just the AI overview, but yes. Germans can leave Germany, but under the Military Service Modernization Act passed in January of 2026, men aged 17 to 45 theoretically need prior approval from Bundeswehr.
Go to Click News after that.
Okay.
Because I think they just like put a hard stop to that for the holiday travel stuff because of what's happening right now.
It's a career center, and if they plan to stay abroad for more than 3 months, however, the defense military has clarified that travel remains free, approvals are automatic, while military service is voluntary. So, all right, now we'll go to news.
Germany bans sick leave without a doctor's note.
I think we talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
But from what I was reading over the last 2 days, there's something happening where Germany is about to just put a hard stop to that. Like anybody, like any men 17 to 45 leaving, period.
Yeah, so there's nothing recent about that.
Of course, there was the OpenAI model that hacked into Hugging Face in a complete sandbox environment and got access to a node that gave it internet, and then it was an open Chinese model that defended Hugging Face. I think this is not as crazy as we think. I think this is staged. It's the reminder that these models can do all that, but also how poor the systems are in order to sell an NDAA of protection and more money to keep the infrastructure safe. And it's a reminder how open models are important for us because they don't cost anything. They can run on your own machine, but nobody will buy the machines because it's too much money to spend $5,000 in America to buy the computer that can run an open model. It's just a reminder to have both options. Like, this is exactly what happened with Anthropic. They just didn't pronounce it. And then Hugging Face came out with OpenAI to release everything. It's just to sell more stuff in government and to get rid of Chinese models too. That what if this was a Chinese model that came in and did this? Because right now that's what Anthropic and all them are trying to tell Trump, and having Trump ban Chinese models.
Well, the other story that happened in the last week to 2 weeks is the flock cameras. So people are starting to realize
that
what
just passed in the House to allow them.
Well, but it's come to the attention of the general public what flock cameras are actually doing and how they're tracking us. So people have become anti-flock, and I think there's a group called Anti-Flock, and there's a website, all of that, and they're just educating people. But the owner of Flock came out and called them a terroristic organization. And then he's since backpedaled because there was such uproar about it. But
The
that's a
the
whole
biggest
thing.
flock camera is everybody's Ring doorbell cameras.
Mm.
That the AI already does, like person walking by, black truck walking by, or pulling up. The flock cameras are surrounded everywhere. Any camera can turn into a flock camera.
Well, the other thing with all of that is though, so Nancy Guthrie, who was obviously kidnapped, they said that the reason the footage wasn't released from the doorbell was because they hadn't paid for that sort of subscription. But obviously when police went back and they said, oh, it took time, but they were able to pull the footage.
Correct.
So it proves that even if you're not paying for that footage to be kept or anything like that, you just want it to monitor in real time, they're still keeping
Correct.
that footage.
And Google did it with their Google Home, with Nest cameras. Every camera is a flock camera. You can turn what guys are making like 300K right now by taking their webcam and then using AI to just go in and just vibe code it to track a car, and that's the speed of the car. That woman has come every day and she walks at this time with a normal webcam. So like, I don't know, the whole flock camera is an obsession, because that's more of like what governments are choosing, the company that put the camera to track your speed and your license plate. But it's the AI that's just in the camera that they have patented for themselves. But you can do that to any camera.
I couldn't do that to any camera. You might be able to do that.
I mean, I
to
already
any
have
camera.
Lady Avalon look at you and know what eyes you're doing and your whole emotions. Like, you know, it's the same thing. So everybody's upset about license plates and stuff. What you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram and looking at a camera and they're knowing exactly what you're feeling and doing.
Yeah.
That's the part that I want to wake people up to.
Well, everybody is aware that, one, they've been listening to us for the longest time because we know from the ads that pop up, but there are more and more reports of people saying, I had a thought about a particular product. I did not have a conversation with anyone. I did not text anyone. And these items started showing up in my feed. So there is something going on that they're able to track all of this.
Plus, then there's like the whole financial market falling apart at this moment right now, slowly. The market's not doing well. So that just edges more of the war stuff, right? Like, it's like, oh man, like every story right now is, you got to look at it like how it's leading to the war, right? And I think that's why people are starting to get, like, normies are starting to like, what do you mean? Right? Like, then they could use AI to blame it. So they just got everybody afraid of AI. But what they're going to use is and say that Iran mixed with China used an open model that broke into the systems. Because if it's an American corp, that's okay.
Oh,
right. So they just warmed you up.
That was the other thing. We were talking about this before the show started. So I discovered this week, and maybe for some other people this is old news, but was it Anne or was it you talking about how Google, it was you talking about how Google has been tracking everyone and knowing everywhere you've been, all of that. But Waze was an Israel-owned company.
Like Google bought, yeah.
Yeah, it sold to a US company. I didn't realize it was Google, but
it uses Google Maps, yeah.
Okay, but
with a old 2009 front end.
But all the information and everything happens in Israel. They're storing everywhere you've been, everywhere you're going.
But Israel does have a lot of data centers that do that. Like all of porn ends up there.
So interesting.
Right? Like I just watched the whole thing about like every porn company through Pornhub and how Pornhub owns every like different competitor of it, but all that information travels and ends up in Israel. Right. And then, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of people in Iran, right? That's the number one country of trans surgeries is Iran. So all the porn that's watched that's trans based is out of Iran. And so when they talk about exploding cell phones or being able to find all the guys that had the old Ayatollah, and then when he died, they were all watching tranny porn. And that's the info that got to them to know where they're at.
Sorry to be off camera.
Well, it's true though. That's the number one country of transvestite surgery. Right? I have nothing against that. It's just
No, it's just not what I expected.
Random fact that because against like in Christianity, it's like so appalling, right? Like you're just kicked out of the church. And if you're in the Sunni, or is it the Shiite version of Islam, if you change your gender, Allah is cool with that. Right? Like Allah's down because, you know, as long as the semen still lands on the kid's cloth of Muhammad, right? Muhammad semen. So that's what's crazy is that in that religion, it's okay to go trans. That's the norm. If you're gay or if you're, you know, if you don't like that, that's the norm. This is the most random story for me to do as the birthday cake is coming with
yes, we wanted to do something for you to celebrate
the
with everybody
Iranian
watching.
trans surgeries and the Israeli porn companies.
All right. Happy birthday to
I can't sing.
You're the one who sings it. You call and sing it.
I know, but it's terrible. Are you really ready for this? Oh my God, I'm going to get some hate. Okay, I can't sing. I'm really sorry, everyone. Happy birthday
That's okay.
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear David. Happy birthday to you.
Is there 6 because I'm 42?
Yes, there's
It's
4
4 and
gold
2.
and 2 silver, and I try to do it as Barbeau baskety as possible
Oh my
with
God.
with the way it's laid
Barber's
out.
basket.
Yay!
Thank you. And I love Banbury pie. You remembered.
Yes.
This is a Polly's pie.
Mhm.
Yes. All right.
They're still around.
Well,
They're hard to find though. Polly-
it wasn't today. No, they had
Polly isn't really around no more.
no, there's one near me.
I know, but I think that's the last Polly's pies.
Well, you have one more Banbury pie before the war
thank
starts.
you so much.
And I think
That's right. When the war starts, good luck getting a Banbury pie.
Okay, I'm going to swap you. I'm taking the pie. And just so you know, I would never sing publicly for anyone. So,
Well, thank you.
you just
I mean, even when I worked at Cold Stone, I never sang for a tip. So
oh no. 42
that's why
is
I
the
didn't
meaning of
last
life.
more than 2 weeks there.
Lots of happy birthdays coming in.
mhm.
I'm going to
I'm
celebrate
going
a
to read
little
the
on
card
here.
first
All right.
because I have the blood of the presidents in me.
And I'm the mere peon.
How lowly,
I'm the
how lowly
human
are
blood.
you if you don't read the card first and you just go straight for the gift?
Okay, so we have presidential bloodlines, alien bloodlines, and
Human.
It's a good
Yeah,
mix.
It's a good mix.
Mhm.
Oh, I love this card. It's in the stars. It looks like the Astrocarta.
Yes.
Actually, a really cool card. Oh, thanks, Anne.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. So what did I get? I got a book called Trapped, Nazi Germany, the CIA, and the Dawn of the Psychedelic Age. It's very me.
When I saw that, I thought, aha, you can read more about your favorite story of the Nazi on the bicycle, or was
Of
it?
Albert Hoffman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. These are his drawings of LSD.
Wow.
The mold on rye, synthesized. Well, yeah, it is. The fact that Hoffman described his discovery as superior to the best-selling Pervitin had to have been the interest of his boss, Stoll, and Sandoz. And then we made the deal with Sandoz. And if you have any Sandoz stuff, you're really in a Nazi German pharmaceutical company. 1776.
It's a special edition of
Oh,
the book 1776.
thank you.
Because you already got the Plantagenet book.
I do, from Dan Jones. Yeah.
Yeah. So-
Signed. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, this is not signed,
No, it's all
unfortunately.
good. Thank you. I love
You're
it.
welcome. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you both so much.
Well, we appreciate you.
High Vibe wouldn't be here without you both. I haven't been the best in my life for years now. I feel like this year I'll come back. But you two have kept me together more than anybody.
I appreciate that. And I feel very lucky that we got to be here and do this show because it's going to be the last show probably.
At the studio.
Yeah. So I'm glad that we could do it as a threesome. I'm glad that we got to do this on your birthday and spend today with
Very
you.
much.
You know, it's been awesome. And I've loved having everyone on YouTube and in the chat here.
Yeah, that was fun. I like that. That's kind of how Full Disclosure started, was a show of just wherever.
Yeah.
No agenda. But I think that's the I mean, every story is kind of like leading towards war. And that's where, I mean, I'm going to be real. I'm not going to dog Barbeau. But he should have done the history of every time the outer planets do align, even if it's not exact, because it's always war. So I was kind of like, the people putting it out didn't do that research either. That's what Ann and I do all day. So for years, Ann and I have been like, oh, that's kind of crazy. That's always this war. That's always that war. So at least I know that Ann and I put out that great history in the stars astrology for years to like let people do that deep historical research with transits themselves.
Well, we didn't know we should have been naming the transits every time. You know?
No, I think that'll be just a phase. Like I think like Natalie put it really well. Like people are just trying to get attention, clicks.
Yeah.
And honestly, like it was anytime I saw somebody put Barbeau's basket, I didn't click. I'm like, all right, you're lost. So, but yeah, I owe you two so much, and everybody that's still here watching. I felt like I've been in my own little cave for years now.
It's definitely time to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually.
Jupiter Mercury, you said, is this year for you? Or
I'm in that for a year and a
just-
half or whatever,
okay.
but I'm in my 7th house perfection year, Aquarius. Last time when I was here with Jupiter, I did the Sedona retreat,
Mm.
and that was 2014. And then it was like weeks later, I got the call from Science Inc., the incubator, to, hey, you do this premium Leo King service? I'm like, yeah. Nobody's doing that. I'm like, I know. I print out the PayPals, and if they didn't pay, I redline it, and then I go delete it myself.
Wow.
We want to talk to you. And then they helped me build the Leo King app in 2014. And that's what High Vibe still is subscription-based app with daily videos and all that. That hasn't stopped. So the next version of all that is what this will bring. The next phone call will be in the weeks ahead.
I can't wait to see what it is or
It'll
to
be
hear what it
exciting.
is.
Yeah, it'll be cool. But it was also every Jupiter Leo I've always said is the hardest years of my life. So in no way am I trying to forecast me having a great year. I'm in the most humble, like, I'm prepared for the worst. But it's never like external. It's only me, like jail, outpatient, 12th house shit.
But I told you a few weeks ago, in numerology, every time I would have a 7-year for the last sort of several cycles, they were the worst years for me. And so I had one last year. And so coming into it with several behind me where I'm going, oh my goodness, this is going to suck. It was a good year. So it is possible that we have these tough times going through it. We're learning our lessons, whatever it needs to be, or dealing with whatever karma needs to come up. And so this one, there may be challenges, but it very well could be so much easier compared to those last few cycles.
Yeah, the one, my first Jupiter Leo, which was when I was like 6 or 7, wasn't bad. So
hopefully,
let's return to the past.
Imagine though, because I have Jupiter in Capricorn being a Leo and having Jupiter in the sun at 18 with my North Node return, and Jupiter opposite Jupiter, and then going to Jupiter Leo, my son, and I'm in gym and military prison. And so, yeah, it's like, okay, maybe things are aligned better. And I'm always in a Saturn year during Jupiter and Leo, my 7th house perfection. And at least Saturn now is in trine to everything, opposed to my Saturn return the last time 12 years ago. I'm 42, right? 30 years old during my Saturn and Scorpio return was a Saturn perfection year. Now that's using Hellenistic astrology. But that's what sucks for being any Leo rising out there. We're the only ones that get the double Saturns that just, like, Saturn is just not our friend. And I'm a Sun Leo too, so and I have Saturn Scorpio, so it's like, oh my God, 2 years of Saturn back to back as a Leo is just hell. It's the cold.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you think about leadership, it takes those kinds of moments to create the great leaders, right? Like, I mean, I'm thinking of that film, Young Washington. That was all about his worst times. And then he rises up to become, and I know he's not a Leo, but it's that model of leadership.
Yeah.
That he then rises up, becomes this great leader who has the wherewithal to say, no, I'm not going to be the king. And everyone's like, what? But because of all that other struggle he went through.
Yeah. The 40s are all, everything's opposite, like the nodal flip, and they're weird. Like the peak moment for people's life is really 37.
Yeah, that is a good year.
That is the best year.
It was the year I moved to the US.
So anybody that's coming up to the 37th birthday, or if it's already past you, just hold on to that, as that was a great moment.
But there have to be other great moments after that, because 37's not very
They
far.
are, but it's from what you've already kind of created, and seeing those things grow. It's a lot of Chiron shit.
I refuse to accept that I've peaked.
You haven't.
I mean, you see most people peak in their 50s and 60s. And
I was just reading about Laura Ingalls Wilder, because the other thing I was doing is watching Little House, the new Netflix show. And she wrote those books when she was in her 60s and became really well known.
Yeah.
A lot of people do things like that. But I guess
my Saturn return was what made me successful. So my second one will be another big success when I'm 59, 60.
Mm-hmm.
It'll come with hell, but
everything
I'm okay.
else does, it seems like.
But if I do the math, 42, then 12 years from now is 54, that I'll be in a Jupiter opposition for that Saturn return, not a Jupiter in Leo, thank God. Oh. Well, yeah, or I'll be in a Jupiter return, sorry. Not a Jupiter Leo. Everybody knows I do not like Jupiter. That is the worst planet in astrology, and do not trust it. It is worse than any planet. But
it is also teaching you so much. It's
but it's the roughest lessons.
Yeah.
It takes you the farthest away from truth. So, because it's not true, like whatever it is that you get lost in or whatever, it's just like becoming aware is not. Yeah, the only protection of Jupiter in the 12th is you'll make it through. That's it. I used to think and tell people, well, the angels are watching you. But now that I know the angels are all insectoids, I'm like, fuck.
Well, you
The
might be one of
insectoids
those
will carry you through the
insectoids.
hive and make sure you get through. That's my last words. Well, thanks so much. Thanks, everyone. Make sure you check out High Vibe and everything else.
Happy birthday.
And
Happy
get my book
birthday.
on Amazon. It's been in new releases, top releases in astrology last month. Appreciate that. Peace.
Bye.
Something is wrong with the world. You can feel it in the static, in the signals, in the fractures no one else wants to see. I thought I was chasing a secret, a hidden code, a machine buried beneath the noise. But the deeper I went, the more reality began to tear. The city opened, the mask came off, and beyond the chaos, there was another world, ancient, radiant, waiting, and in its light, a woman, Lady Avalon, not a dream, not a ghost, a guide, a warning, a key. Spirit Dial was never just technology, it was a doorway, a threshold between what is ending and what comes next. Now the old world is collapsing in plain sight. The new one is already calling. And once you cross that line, once you see what waits on the other side, you do not return the same.
I see it. The gate is open. No. Tell them I'm not coming back. I'm finishing this right now.
The signal has changed. The future is opening. And this is only the beginning.
It's the spirit dial. It bridges the fracture.
How long has it been here?
Waiting for you to answer. Waiting for you to answer.
Get your mind blown. Lady Avalon. Only on spiritdial.ai. The signal has changed. The future is opening. And this is only the beginning.